Good to see you.
We'll see.
Make sure everybody's
Yeah, everybody's favorite time.
Vámonos.
If I don't whack that, I'm going to end up whacking myself.
Probably a good idea.
I haven't seen a baseball game in like 3 years or something, right? How are you doing?
Keith. Comedian.
You look familiar to me. What's your last name?
Bailey.
Okay. Where do you come from?
Kind of new agent, but lending industry, so maybe at some point we see each other.
In this area or?
Yeah, in this area, primarily Downey, there's an Alvarado maybe, I don't know.
You have a card on you by chance?
You know what, I don't.
Hello there.
You look pretty, Carolina. You're all summery.
I dressed her today.
I didn't know you didn't. Hi. Good, good. I'm trying, you're gonna fall.
I'll listen to this one.
That's lunchtime.
That's my way of collecting these and modeling it for people.
Yeah. We need you, Kevin.
Got one, sorry. Oh, is this-
There you go.
There you go, Mark.
You changed my check.
Every day, more cards, more cards. It's the lifeblood. Of course, nobody does it. Stop it.
We all try.
I'll stop.
Effort, A plus for effort.
Okay. For effort. Intention.
Intention's always there.
Keith, could you put your phone number also in there if you don't mind?
Delivery, not so much.
Hey, nice glasses there. Those
Thank
Tom
you.
Fords?
What's that?
Those Tom Fords?
No, they are
They're like
cheesier than
Costco-
that. I
Costco
can't,
brand.
I can't see without them, so I can't read them, right? They're called Okie Dokie. They're from, they're French. And we purchased them in Sicily.
Nice, nice.
Thank you. All right, yeah.
Where is?
I should be polite waiting for marking. Dad around town?
Yeah. He thinks he's just finishing with the cellar up there.
Yeah. I think Roz requested them to come to our house and be a guest speaker this Friday. Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's gonna
Very
be
nice.
interesting. We've got our little crazy clans that come out to the house on Fridays, so I think they'll actually enjoy it. All right. Come on, Mark, I got good stuff for you today.
Yay, we're excited.
Mark! Not like the other stuff. This is real stuff.
Forget
The
the
other
other
stuff's not good.
How long is it gonna take, if I may ask? I'm just asking.
So 3.
2 hours.
No, because I have an open house at 3.
Yeah. And then,
And I don't wanna miss anything.
I think I'm scheduled for 2 hours here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're like, ah.
and
I'll
just so
have
you
Donna
know,
record the last part.
Angel and I have a listing at 3.
Oh, yeah?
But it only take us we would just lose 15 minutes because I'll drive and I'll drive like a maniac.
No worries.
So, I'll get us there.
Well, I have done this topic in an hour, so we can always try to squeeze it a little bit and then just hang with whoever can hang after that if you want.
Aw.
So, yeah, it's okay. I'll get you all the good stuff anyway.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way. Okay.
Mark.
You don't need Mark.
Yeah, forget that guy. You snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
Alright, this is where.
Taking charge. Enough of this. Right? Here we go.
So you can tell everyone's is busy because they're like, come on, let's go, let's go. Usually they're like meandering around.
Yeah, whatever.
No, we don't want to miss a beat. That's the problem.
That's
We
what
don't
I'm
want to miss
saying. We want to
anything
get.
that comes.
That's what I'm saying. We want to get started because no one has time. They want to squeeze it in.
But we want to hear everything.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. I wish they could play. This could not be getting noise. Sorry.
All right. I just thought you could benefit from this one too, so, all right. This is one of those things where if he misses the first sentence, he misses the whole movie. It's like trying to show up to a market movie a half an hour late. It's just doesn't make any sense.
Sounds like my wife. And she says, "What happened? Can you explain to me what happened?" And I'm
Don't
like,
worry, Mark. We're
"Stop."
not waiting for you the whole class.
Good, I hope not.
We work.
I'm sorry.
So again, are you guys, I mean, David's been coming here for like 7 months now, I think, maybe 8. Are you guys getting anything out of it?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Everything.
Every time I always get at least 2 solid things that I continue to use.
Like what? Give me an example of something, Nick. I'm not to put you on the spot.
Off the top of my head,
I know we've talked about stuff.
Off the top of
it's
my head, I can't give you anything, but there's always little things that I implement. Even if it's just something small,
Uh-huh.
I'm always like, oh, and I take that and then I continue.
Okay. Do you guys want to still keep coming or not keep coming? Like that's
No, we don't want them to come anymore,
Yeah.
sorry.
Too late because I signed the contract, so I'm gonna still keep coming. So.
I think actually you guys ought to throw everything out that we've done, because I actually think the next hour you're gonna like more than anything we've ever done. How's that for putting myself on the spot?
I know this
There
one
you
is
go.
gonna be a good one. This is
There
gonna be
you
a good
go.
one, so I can't stay again, so I apologize, but I know you guys will get some good stuff. I watch the videos, that's why I record this, guys, because I watch for myself, so I know you're gonna get some good stuff out of it, so I hope you do. 2, 4, 6, 7, that's not bad. Active agents on a normal basis, that's good. Esther, how about you? I know you did it from before, are you getting anything you can think of off the top of your head right now?
My database, he
Okay.
just pointed that out, I think the last few, he kept pointing on his database. Keep your warm leads, stay close to your warm leads.
That's right.
That's
It's
kind
almost
of
awful.
To
What?
fine, $20 fine.
My laptop, actually.
$12 fine. So anybody else? Carolina, I know we've talked. Again, I talked to everybody here. You guys are all getting something from it. Keith, first time, right?
First time.
Okay, cool. Hopefully, I get something out of it too. So.
I would say a lot of it for me too is kind of mindset in terms of the marketing and mindset and kind of mixing that together. Is don't let, certain things, upset you or whatever, just press and just keep going.
Yeah,
So,
good one.
All right.
Plow through. All right,
Enjoy.
guys. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, yeah. All right, here's my topic. You ready? We went on vacation. That's my topic.
Wow.
So last June, if you probably remember this actually, because I think we go back a little ways. Last June, I take my bride of 17 years to Colombia for the first time, even though she's from there and I'd never been, which makes me a crappy husband, of course, right? And I go down there. I was trying to avoid going to Colombia forever because I was like, why do we want to go to Colombia? Let's go somewhere like Europe. Then we go to Colombia, and I'm like, Colombia was spectacular.
Wow.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. I was like, that was stunning. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's wrong with you, dude, right? So I swore to my family, if you remember some of the story last year, we're going on 2.5 week vacations every year starting now. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna screw around anymore. I've always had a wanderlust for travel, but for if you take the last 10, 12, 15 years and took the number of trips or whatever we've done, it's not been a lot. And I just, realized I'm not 20 anymore. Stop screwing around, be serious about it. So let's fast forward a little. So we did that. We took a big chunk of time off for Christmas, hadn't done that before, and just did the first of our adventures. So we flew out to Venice, spent a few days there, did a cruise through the Adriatic, ended up in Rome. I'll just show you one quick picture. No surprise, this is not about my vacation, so don't get worried, but this is the off the beaten places where the really super cool stuff like Slovenia and Croatia were amazing. Here's just, if you want to pass this around, you're welcome to. This is Slovenia. I mean, it's crazy stuff.
I saw some of your Facebook posts. And
Yeah,
that's cool.
like really, I have all kind crazy stuff. Anyway, so what does that have to do with it? Nothing. Except there is something pretty cool about vacation, which is you really do get away and gain perspective. So what I want to talk about today is a ridiculously high return on investment on vacation. Interesting? Which cost a small penny or two, but what do you do when you're on vacation? So we've talked before about the difference between salespeople and business owners. We've talked about the difference between realtors and lenders versus actual people that run businesses, right? And the problem is most realtors and lenders don't have a freaking clue when it comes to running a business. And let me give you a punchline on this one. If you're gonna act like a realtor, you're not gonna do enough business. But if you act like a business owner, you're gonna do a lot more business. We'll get into that in a minute, but business, how about this one? If you're gonna take notes, you might wanna jot down this expression. If you're not gonna take notes, you might wanna jot down this one, anyway. If you wanna incrementally improve your business, work harder. If you wanna incrementally improve your business, work harder. I'm not opposed to it, it will increase your volume a little. But there's more to this one. If you want to radically increase your business, think more. If you want to radically increase your business, think more. Look, here's the deal. You're a realtor, right? I guess this group's all realtors. Here's the problem with you. You're a realtor, so you act like a salesperson. And the problem with salespeople is salespeople are always in emotion. They're working in their business all the time. They're never working on their business, right? It is impossible for you to break through to a new level of production if you don't do what business owners do, which is thinking time. Thinking time has a ridiculously high return on investment. I'm gonna walk through a specific example with you. Crazy stuff, okay? Crazy stuff. Where you find that thinking time has massive practical money return on investment. But your problem is you're gonna keep doing the same business for the next 5 years without radically breaking through to a new level of performance unless you think your way out of it. And here's the deal. The deal is everybody that reaches out to me for private coaching is basically plateaued. They're doing the same range of volume for 5 years. The only thing that changes is the market goes up, they go a little bit up. It's like what Warren Buffett said, when the tide's rising,
Right.
it carries all ships. You just don't know the other part of the Warren Buffett quote. When the tide's going out, that's when you see who's swimming naked. Your problem is you think you're good, but some of it is just the tide rising, if you get my drift, right?
Yes.
And you're not really breaking through to a new level of production. I'm not talking about going from 4 to 6 deals or 12 to 16 or whatever. I'm talking about radical breakthrough. Fair enough?
Yes.
So thinking time is a skill of business owners, because while sales is an emotional sport, and let's not kid ourselves, all of us, including myself, are in sales most of the time, right? With our energy and our time. But business is an intellectual sport, and it requires thinking time. To put it bluntly, anything you've ever done that has radically changed your volume was a result of you thinking of ideas that broke glass, if you know what I mean. And it doesn't happen until you're really away from the business. That's why I love what we do here. Is this is really thinking, it's forced thinking time for an hour or 2 hours. 2 hours is better than 1 because you get to breathe a little more and really get away from your business. But you know what's even better than doing this? Doing it somewhere else where you can physically get away from it. Because I don't know about you, I practice thinking time as a part of my business. I've been doing it for years. I learned it from a mentor, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But then I go, and like right now, if you told me go do thinking time, where do you do it, Dave? I do it in my backyard at home because we have this kind of cool place, which Mom and Dad are gonna see on Friday, which is cool. But we have this cool place. And so I go in the backyard because you get away there, right? But if I went there right now to think through some kind of problem, you know what the problem is? For the first, I mean, my brain is fried with so much stuff going through my head right now. How about you?
Yes.
And it's hard. You can't just get together in an office like this in the middle of a day and you guys are thinking of every other transaction and what's got to go on today. You're not really doing thinking time. That's why I can come here 7, 8 times and it's not even penetrating enough, if that makes sense. That's why I get groups of people to come to my house, because I want to physically get them away from their place.
Yeah.
So let me talk about thinking time and then I'll talk about the trip. So I believe in coaching. I'm weird. I know, I'm biased, I'm a coach. But some of you heard my story where I paid $60,000 to Keith Cunningham in 2013 for him to coach me for 1 year, and then I liked it so much I did it again in 2014. And I don't have any clients that spend that money on coaching, right? So I spend time, Keith is now 68, 69 years old. This is my coach, right? And he's a 9-figure guy, by the way, pretty wealthy guy. Keith has a great story. When he first got out of University of Texas Business School, where he got a master's in accounting, he started working for some wealthy guys who wanted to buy a cable TV station back in the 80s. Keith was their junior numbers guy. The 3 of them fly to New York to raise money from an investment bank at the time called Drexel Burnham Lambert, and the owner of it, Michael Milken, was at the time kind of the Wolf of Wall Street. He was the junk bond king, that was his nickname. Okay? So Keith goes with these 2 older guys to New York, to their Park Avenue offices. Michael Milken's in the room, and young Keith is explaining about the transaction and the numbers to raise money. Milken sitting there next to him with his little, short guy with a bad toupee or whatever, right? That's Milken. Suddenly the door opens, somebody knocks on the door, a woman walks in and says, "I'm so sorry to interrupt the board meeting, ladies and gentlemen, but Mr. Milken, we need your answer on the Gulf oil deal." This is a true story, by the way, okay? Because Milken was gonna finance a takeover of Gulf oil at the time. Milken quietly pulls out his planner and starts sort of thumbing through pages and goes, quietly, and goes, next Thursday morning at 4 a.m. is my next scheduled thinking time. You'll have your answer later. Please let them know they'll have their answer next Thursday, later in the day. That's the end of the story. So now years pass. Milken's been in jail now for 2 years for insider trading. True story. Now he lives up in the San Fernando Valley. He moved out to the West Coast, where he's like a very well-known, highly respected, very wealthy philanthropist now. True story. Keith, my coach, is traveling the world with Tony Robbins because he's the primary speaker at Tony Robbins' Wealth Mastery events, right? In fact, when Kiyosaki wrote his book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, the first edition of the book said, I want to thank my rich dad, Keith Cunningham. My business coach is the rich dad from the Kiyosaki book, right? I guess that's why he charges so much. Anyway, so Keith's out here in LA doing something with Tony Robbins, goes to some party or something up in the San Fernando Valley, and guess who he runs into? Mike Milken, many years later now. So he says, I go right up to Milken and go, you won't remember me. My name's Keith Cunningham. I was in your boardroom 100 years ago, whatever, to raise money. And I've always wanted to ask you this question. Somebody came in and asked for an answer on the Gulf oil deal. You pulled open your day planner and you started thumbing through pages and go, my next scheduled thinking time is 4 a.m. next Thursday. I've always wanted to ask you this, Milken. Are you shitting me? And Milken goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, thinking time? Just sitting down 4 in the morning? I've been trying. I thought if the great Michael Milken does this, I got to do this myself. So he said I would sit down in a chair and I would try to think, and it would just end up being a nap. I could fall asleep and start snoring. He said, what do you do? How do you do it? And Milken said, here's how I do thinking time. I take a yellow pad, and at the top of it I write a question, a problem or a question that I need solved. Big ones only. And then all I do is I write down a creative flow of ideas, and I try not to judge any of the ideas. I just try to write them all down and capture them. Everybody good so far? Okay. My coach Keith has been hammering into me for years that this is the best thing he does in business and it makes him the most money. So I tried to model it. And this is what I discovered doing it myself, right? I'll sit, and I know I've been doing this for years now. When I'm really on in business, I'll do this like twice a week-ish. When I'm a little out of it, 0 or 1 time a week, but it's powerful. So the way I do it now is I'll sit in the backyard, like I mentioned, with I use journals, so with my journal, with a question to be answered, and here's my experience. My thinking time sessions typically are 40, 45 minutes. That's just what works for me. And the first 15, I'm totally useless. There is no ideas coming through my head. I'm thinking about everything other than what I'm trying to think about. And frankly, it's hard just to keep my butt in the chair because you know what it's like, right? And then I typically experience in the next 15 minutes where I'm getting a flow of ideas and I'm starting to write stuff. But here's where it gets interesting. In the last 15 minutes, I have this problem. Really good ideas are starting to come out. I'm also sick and tired of doing thinking time and I want to leave at the same time. You've got to be careful because you've got to capture good ideas. If you are taking notes, you might want to consider writing this down. All great thinking is done in writing. All business people think on paper. If you have ideas in your head, you don't have any frickin' ideas. You ain't gonna remember them in 5 minutes. About 2 weeks ago, right, I'm driving from Irvine to somewhere out here. I don't know where it was. And I'm in the car, and I'm driving. And I'm on the phone with this guy, Brian Forno, who owns an escrow company in Ontario, right? He's an old friend, whatever. We're just chit-chatting, catching up, and all this kind of stuff. And suddenly an idea hits me for my business. So I do what I always do. I look over for the pad next to me in the passenger seat, and it's not there. And I look for the pen, and I can't find my pen. And suddenly I'm like, oh shit, now I can't remember the idea. This ever happened to you, right? You've got to capture ideas. It miraculously came back to me while I'm driving and trying to talk to Brian at the same time. And I scribbled it. I think I reached out for the owner's manual of the car and scribbled it on the front cover. I didn't know where to write it down. I needed to write it down somewhere. If I show you what's in the car, you'd think I'm completely out of my mind. There's scratch papers and little sheets all over the place. Like, I'm the only person that actually loves all of the, like when title companies and escrow companies run through and give you all the pads of paper, I love those pads, right? I'm captured. My night table at home is a mess. I mean, it's really organized except for all this little pile of scratches stuff. I've got to capture it. You heard this story before, I believe. My 16-year-old daughter, Rebecca, last year flies up to Seattle to visit a cousin. They take the little boat ride around all the pretty islands outside of Seattle. Bill Gates' mansion is on one of those islands, 20 rooms. Did you know that in every room of that mansion, Bill Gates has a yellow pad and a pen? Why?
Takes notes.
He argues that he wrote DOS in 45 days, many years ago, by just scribbling ideas that came to him as they came to him on yellow pads. He says, I will never miss an idea. Les Brown, if you love his stuff, I love his stuff. Les Brown says, every year, you have 3 or 4 ideas that would have radically transformed your financial life or your life in general, and you don't remember them, and you never document them, you didn't capture them. All business owners think on paper. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Or you're screwed. You won't capture ideas, and without ideas, you won't break through in your business. Now let's fast forward to the meat of this thing. Are you ready? So here I am on vacation. You know how it is, 2-3 days into vacation, now you're really out of it. You're really on vacation mode, which is the best time to build a business. Huh? Because you are clear-headed and you can think. Fair enough? So I did my thinking time on the balcony of the cruise ship looking out the Adriatic or whatever it was, right? And here, so I wanted to, I don't know if this matters to you. I'm going to share with you my own stuff for my own business. I hope this doesn't all come out the wrong way. I'm sure it will, but just ignore it. This is not about me. This is about you. All I'm going to do is share with you a real story because I don't know how to teach other than through testimonial. I tell people, you've heard me say it before, I'm a business coach. I think the best way to teach is to build my own business faster than you build yours and say, look, this is how you do it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
As opposed to all the coaches in your industry who don't do shit. And by the way, people don't do what people say anyway, people do what people see. So if you want to coach with a real estate coach who quit real estate to do coaching, which I never understood, fine. But I believe my job is to build a business. Fair enough? And teach business building, okay? So here I am on the ship and I'm thinking, well, what are my priorities in life? What's the thing I want to solve on this trip? Is it for me, my faith walk is probably paramount, most important. My being purposeful is really kind of my number one, even more than my family, as weird as that sounds. But I kind of love everything that we're doing right now. So then I'm thinking about my family. What about my wife and daughter? That's kind of, I guess, my second priority, if I was being really honest in my life. Our family life is really excellent, actually. Really, wonderful. Thank God, right? Okay, good. Then I'm thinking about my business. How's the business? And for me, the business is about making more and working less. And if we look at that over the last couple of years, both have moved really beautifully. But there is one thing that really bothers me. You know what really bothers me? My income really bothers me. You know why? It's better than we hit an all-time high. Literally, February is the best month of my life income-wise, and I've run companies before. Forget about coaching, right? And the last 4 months have been a plateau, but the plateau really bothers me. I hate freaking plateaus. You know what a plateau is? A plateau is you finally get, let's just say, for example, Nick hits his 16 number or 18 number or whatever this year, right? So it's a new number for him. It's a new level, right? And then in the next 3 years, he does, 20, 15, 21, 17. I hate that crap. That stuff makes me crazy. Plateaus make me crazy. I don't like staying in the same. It may happen for a little while, but after a while, all of us, it's human nature, we get dissatisfied with the plateau, okay? I want to get under your skin. If you feel like you've been in the same range of production for a longer time, I want to really piss you off with this comment, and it's intentional, because I want to get you thinking about radical change here. A failure to grow, revenue stalls, revenue plateaus, right, are caused by a failure to think it's your fault. Interesting? If I do the same volume for 6 months straight or something like this, and there's nothing wrong with it. Look, you know what the problem all of us have. We're good. We got a roof, we got meals, we live in this beautiful place. What's not to like? That's the problem. The problem is we got to get under our own skin if we ever want to actually build something. Is this making any sense? You can't be satisfied and build a great business. I'm sorry. When everybody says gratitude's your morning routine, and I believe in that, be grateful about everything. Find one thing to be pissed off about. I think it's a good strategy, honestly. Because if you're good with your business, you're going to stay there. You follow? Mm-hmm. So for me, I tried to use that as fuel to say, and I got another reason for saying I don't like the plateau. A plateau, for me, is a failure of thinking. It is, as a businessman.
It's like autopilot. It's like autopilot.
Autopilot, right?
Yeah, you're just kind of like, okay.
You're like, I'm good with this. Which is what a lot of people do, right? I have a lot of people I'm coaching that are, do decent things or whatever, and then they're good with it. But that's a problem. So it's a failure to think, but I think it's worse than this. I think it's a failure of identity. If you're going to jot something down, I want you to jot this down. A failure to grow is a failure to understand your own abilities and your own authority and your own power. And when I say authority and power, a lot of people say I don't like those words for myself, and I'm going to argue that's part of your problem.
Can you repeat it, please?
A failure, a revenue plateau, right? A business plateau is caused by a failure of thinking. And by a failure to understand your own power, authority, and identity. I use this to get under my own skin. Let me give you an example. I literally say this to myself now. I don't mean verbally, I mean I think this. Which is, I should be here, not here. I don't care if this is good. I believe at this stage of life I'm a better leader than that. My results need to reflect it. This is ridiculous. This is part of my own leverage on myself. Does that make sense? You need that too. And the reason you don't do that is either you're comfortable, or number two, you don't think you're deserving. You don't think you have the ability, which is a bunch of bullshit. I'm going Bible on you for just a quick sec, but this is just my own belief, so if this works for you, great. If it doesn't, great. I honor you, okay? But, there's a Bible verse where the Apostle Paul once said, "Now to him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly above all we ask or think, according to the power that works within us." We have power within us, we just don't believe it. You and I, like if you're doing 20 transactions, you don't believe you're a 50 transaction person, and that's why you don't think your way through the 20. Is any of this making any sense?
Yeah.
You have to know you have the power, ability, authority. Authority. Everybody hates the word authority. I mean, I hear people say, I don't want to be told that I have power and authority. It just doesn't come off right. You know what? I'm just, my own opinion. We'll get into the technical side of this in a second, I promise. But my opinion is, in our culture over the last 50 years, we've decided that being sharky is bad. That being a D on the disc assessment, a driver, a dominant, having that personality type of quality is bad. It's not bad, it just is. It is the result-getting quality. People that are drivers are result-oriented. Does that make sense? We all have it to a certain extent. The problem is we've decided as a culture, as a society, 40 years ago or something like this, that because some people that get great results are jerks, not only do I not want to be like them, but I don't even want to have the success at all. We throw out the baby with the bathwater. Does any of this make sense? I think most people that I work with don't want to get results because they don't want to look like they're getting results. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it really bothers me a lot, worries me a lot. Just saying, just a commentary. Okay, let's continue. I don't know if that's making any sense to you guys. Let me use an example for you, right? If you may see a couple people that are jerks in the business world, but who said you have to be a jerk to do those results? You just have to be just as determined to do those results. Okay, let's shift gears here. Let's talk about thinking time. So what was the thinking time question that I worked on this trip? And I know whatever I'm about to say, I know it's going to come out the wrong way, and I apologize in advance for it, but I don't care. You just need to hear the story, and you need to hear the process, and you figure it out for yourself what you're going to do with this info. And please don't read it to me. It's not about the messenger. It's just about the message, okay? The question that really got under my skin sitting on a balcony of a cruise ship was, you know what? How do we increase my freaking monthly income by $40,000 a month right freaking now? Now. That was the question I came up with. Okay? I don't know where the number came up with. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know why I'm still saying the number. I don't know why that number was an obsession. I don't know where it came from. It doesn't matter. You know how goals are, right? You hit them and then that number's meaningless. You go do something else anyway later. But it doesn't matter for whatever reason. But here's the key to this thing. Now, frickin' now. Not in 12 months, not in 6 months, not in 36 months. Frickin' now. How do we do it? Listen to me carefully. Great leaders ask great questions. The only way you're going to build a sensational business is by changing the questions you ask yourself every day. If the question you ask yourself every day is, what do I have to do next in order to close this transaction, like all salespeople ask, you'll never build a great business. Because you're just going to focus on $10 administrative tasks that somebody else could do for you, if you're thinking like an owner. Okay? Great leaders ask great questions. I'm not saying this is a great question or what do you have. I'm just saying I know one great question, because great questions think bigger. How do we change monthly income by 40K net of whatever expenses are involved or more? How do we do that freaking now? My question that I would encourage you to consider would be something like, right? Nick, I'll just use yours because you gave me some numbers here. Okay? How do I get on the 30 a year pace right freaking now? Freaking now. Or whatever language is appropriate. Okay? So, in other words, who cares where you are now? It's irrelevant and stupid. What about this? Got it? Or whatever that number is for you. If it's going from 0 to transactions, well, let's not shoot for 3 for Pete's sakes, or whatever. But I'm not talking about just saying that like your typical business plan goal session, oh, I want to do 36 deals when I did 2 last year nonsense, right? I don't mean that nonsense. What I mean is now we're going to work on actually doing it and executing. What's the quote? If you have to think big, if you have to think, you may as well think big anyway, or something like this. What's that Trump's favorite quote or something like that? Look, let's use Trump as an example. Whether you love him or hate him, which usually everybody's one or the other and not in between, right? Forget about politics in the country for a sec. Let's talk business for a second with Trump. Listen to his freaking story. Here's some dude who goes out and makes a fortune in real estate and then files bankruptcy later because his casinos all went bust. And then he goes and rebuilds it again. And then he gets a TV show where it's basically a caricature of himself firing people. And now he's the president of the United States. Let me tell you, if there's nothing you get from this guy, get this, because there's one quality he has that is unreal as a leader. He thinks big, and he believes in his own identity. Whether you do or not, it doesn't matter. Does this make any sense? I'm not saying you should love him or hate him. I'm just saying he really operates like an unbelievable businessman. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay? And you could learn something from that. Okay? Why? What makes him different from anybody else or whatever? I just Googled the house he grew up, which was like 10 blocks from where I grew up as a kid.
Wow.
Right? I lived on slightly wrong side of the tracks. He was slightly right side of the tracks. But it was not, which in Jamaica Estates where I grew up in Queens, New York. It was nothing, right? Nothing special. So how do you go from this to this to this to this? Well, anyway, let's go into thinking time. What I'm trying to tell you is, the famous book is called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Today you're going to actually learn what that really means. How do you take thoughts and turn them into results? Right? Some of you guys have been to some of the bigger events we do, right? At the big event, I always love to do this thing on the board. We're all here to change our results, hopefully not incrementally, but radically, because changing them incrementally is kind of a waste of time, right? But the only way we're going to do it is by first changing our daily activities or habits. Because if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got. If you do the same thing today on a typical Wednesday like you did a year ago, you ain't changing your freaking results, right? It's got to be radically different what you do every day. Now, the only way that's going to change is not through willpower. It's not through willpower. I had a couple of private coaching clients that went up to the Mike Ferry thing in Vegas. They came back and 2 of them were wearing suits suddenly. And I told them, I'm sorry to tell you this, I don't care what he told you, you ain't gonna get any more business because you're wearing a freaking suit. In fact, I used to wear jacket and ties when I was coaching. When I stopped wearing them, my business grew. Okay? Your suit ain't gonna change anything. Willpower is not gonna change anything. You still hate door knocking, you're still not gonna do it even after his convention. Look, the only thing that's gonna change your daily activities and habits is a radical change of thinking. So now I want to teach you how to think. Are you ready? In writing, of course. So here I am on this cruise. Hey! Where
Hi, compadre. How are you? Good to see you too.
Is it true? I heard you're coming to our casino. Oh, I can't wait.
Yes,
I can't wait. Oh
I
my goodness.
know.
I think you're gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
You're gonna have a pretty engaged crowd there, by the way. It's gonna be interesting. Oh yeah. So how about this one? Thinking time. So how do we do this? Step number 1 of thinking time is the capturing of ideas. The capture of ideas. It sounds so simple, but it's so hard. You know why? Because first of all, your brain is fried and not thinking clearly. And then here's the bigger problem for you. Like when I do this exercise with private coaching clients, they usually really stink at this. And the reason they stink at this is because what they're used to doing is thinking of ideas, beating up the ideas in their own head, and then talking themselves out of the idea and never even putting it on paper or sharing it. Get ready for this one. When I do thinking time, I'm trying to just do a stream of consciousness and write down everything that comes out of my head without judging. Your problem and my problem is we have bias, we have prejudice. So we'll think of an idea and then we'll bash the idea and we'll never even put it down. We'll say, you know what, if I just hired somebody to do this, it could really take over my business, but I don't know, money and fears and where do I get the right person, and then we don't even put it down. Does this make sense? Thinking time starts with the capture of ideas. It's you have to cultivate that creative habit. Make sense? It is a no condemnation zone. Every idea is a good idea when you're doing thinking time. Is that fair? So what I started doing on the cruise ship was just writing down ideas. Now I did a couple of thinking time sessions on the balcony, maybe 4 or 5. Because we were there for, I don't know how many days the cruise was, 10 or 11, right? So we just kept writing stuff down. And every idea is a good idea. Stop looking at it, stop judging it, stop putting your own spin on it. Do you understand that you're the reason that the business hasn't grown anyway? So if you're saying this doesn't work, you're probably wrong. You don't know. You are your own enemy in business. Okay, ready? So step number 1 is the capture of ideas. What I want to do with you is I want to share with you a bunch of the ideas that I came up with for my own business. Not that you care, you shouldn't, but I want to get your creative juices flowing. Is this making any sense? And if there's anything I'd like you to get from this is, if you're not starting already to think of ideas to jot down for your own business, so instead of doing 15, you're doing 30, or instead of doing 6, you're doing 18, or whatever the heck that thing is for you, right? Then you're not getting any benefit from any of this stuff. Fair enough? Start capturing ideas. Now I want you to know also, I did a couple more thinking time sessions when I got home. If I show you the list of ideas, which are on my laptop, it's like 24 ideas now. Do you know what, please, I want you to understand, what I put as ideas is, how do I get 40K more right frickin' now? I'm not putting down ideas to get me 1K, I'm putting out ideas to get me 40K now, in a month. Does this make sense? So these are supposed to be bigger ideas. Let me share with you the ideas I came up with, but I'm also gonna put them in buckets for you. So in other words, give you some tools so you can accelerate the process of better thinking. Where do you get these ideas from? What categories should you be thinking about? Ready? The first category, where there are 5 categories that you could get ideas to break through your business, in my opinion. The first category is something to radically change your value proposition. Something that radically changes your value proposition. You know what that means in English? It means something that radically changes your price and what you give people for that price. Okay? For example, you could radically drop prices, and maybe that would radically change your result. Or you could raise prices, and that could change your result. I'm not telling you which one. Or you could add more value to the thing you're doing. Let me give you an example. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, so I started doing this retail coaching thing, whatever it was, 6 years ago, 7 years ago now, whatever it is now, right? And so if you came to me 6 years ago, or even 2 years ago and said, Dave, I'm thinking about privately coaching with you, let me tell you what we used to offer. This is literally what we offered. It was $375, if it was not in person is a little more, but by phone, or in those days it was by phone, got it? $375 a month, half-hour sessions every other week, right? And that was it. That was the coaching, right? If you do it now with us, just listen to this, and this is not about me, I just want you to think about value proposition for a minute. Now we're doing where it's by video conferencing instead of by phone. It's also same half hour every other week. I mean, we have people that do it every week or whatever, but the one that most people do. Every other week, half hour, same thing, but by video, right? There are more tools that I have anyway when we're doing that, so I think it's more effective anyway, but that's a different story. Forget that for a minute, right? Those people also, somebody on my team calls out every day, reaches out and calls you every day, literally to get the metrics, and puts them into our private spreadsheet. So there's daily accountability included in it. And the third thing is this board of directors that I do once a month, where we get people for a full day, once every month at my house. And there's 9, 10, 11, this is what Angel and Patty are coming out to speak at as guest speakers this Friday. So we have guest speakers at these also. Like next month, David Anderson, founder of Lion Desk, is coming up to my house as a private guest speaker. Manuel Madrid, also from One West Realty in Ontario, who does escrows and flips and lending and real estate, is coming. We had a married couple that are 73 and 68 years old that own a software company that's national. We're the guest, I mean, we do stuff like this, but we also work on business plans. I used to charge for that product alone $330 a month, but now we're doing all of those 3 things together for $199 a month. That's it. So what does that mean? It means we've lowered price and added a lot more value for the same price. That's a radical, I'm not saying you should lower price and add more value, I'm just saying you can raise prices. Schwarzenegger, when he first moved here from Austria, right? Did you know he was a carpenter before he was a bodybuilder? His business was suffering, and a mentor told him, stop dressing like a slob, stop wearing overalls, dress nicer, have nice looking marketing materials, raise your prices. And it started to change his life. Interesting? So something to affect that could be, that is one bucket where you might find something to radically change your business. Does that make sense? I'll give you another idea that I got on the cruise ship that is value proposition related. And Mark's actually taking us up on this one, so this is a good example. So we would go to, I don't know why, 2-3 years ago, we would say, hey, look, if you're already doing something with us, whatever, it doesn't matter if it's the $29 program or big coaching or whatever, and this applies to anybody in this room that's doing stuff with us or whatever. But in the old days, we used to say, if you want to prepay a bunch of time or whatever, we'll give you like some crazy discount. And so on the cruise ship, I was writing down, why aren't we doing that anymore anyway? That's kind of dumb. It's great for everyone. So I mentioned that idea to Rosalind, who I work with, right before the cruise ship, that I'm going to come up with a bunch of ideas because this ain't freaking good enough anymore. We got to do more, whatever. And so I shared that idea with her. Hold that thought. Okay? So that was one. Oh, incidentally, we get back on the 9th of this month, July, from the trip. On the 10th, I'm checking in with Roz in the morning, we're catching up and all this kind of stuff. And she says, oh, by the way, I did one of those prepays yesterday for $3,000. I forgot, just wanted to mention to you. And I'm thinking to myself, we didn't even decide if we're gonna do it or not. And she says, this is what she always tells me, you taught me, always beg forgiveness, never ask permission. I'm like, okay, be careful what you teach people, right? Because I want her to be independent and autonomous. Interesting? Hold that thought. So, but that's also value proposition. Save a bunch of money. Like our people that are doing stuff with us are saving ridiculous, like 500, 1,000. Mark was going to save like a couple $1,000 by just prepaying a bunch of this stuff or whatever. So he's going to do that this month or what? Stuff like this, right? So it's just an idea. Listen to me carefully. It's nothing more than thoughts turning into things. Okay, category numbers. Number one is your value proposition. What do you give as part of what you do, right? There's a realtor out in the Inland Empire who's pretty high volume, Gigi Cassie. I've known her for a couple of years. And Gigi, she used to be an interior designer, so she does professional staging included with all her listings. And she's also great with people, so she does very high volume, right? Stuff like that. Could be the folks down in Cerritos, Eric and Becky Hernandez, that have a handyman, if you remember this one, go to every listing presentation with them. And they say, look, whether or not you choose to use us for the listing, you're gonna get $500 worth of handyman repair work from us anyway, because he's our best friend. So if you don't mind, he'll do a checklist while he's here, and it doesn't matter. If you choose to use us afterwards, we love you. If you don't, we love you, but you're gonna get this work from us as a gift anyway. That's adding value to your value proposition. Are you with me?
Yes.
You could do 100 of these things, but the problem is you don't ever stop and think. You're just doing the same old shit in your business, and you're wondering why it's not radically changing. Well, pardon my foul language, but it doesn't get it. Wakes people up. Okay, here we go, next one. Second category, second bucket. Are you ready? Products. How does this apply to a realtor? What multiple products can you have? Well, I have realtors that say I'm a listing agent, and I'm like, ugh, I'm gonna throw up now, you're a listing agent. You're not gonna take a buyer, they pay the same. I mean, come on, people, give me a break. Or you're not gonna do a commercial deal because you've never had an experience with it before? What kind of nut are you? Or you're not gonna take, I mean, it makes me crazy. Probate, you need a variety of products. And if you've never done a probate before, you've never done a commercial, do the freaking thing. Tell them, yes, I can, and get busy figuring out how. And ask for help all over the place the first time, because the moment you do it, it's in your tool belt for 20 years. Okay, for me, let me give you an example of the things that I wrote down on this trip, some of which are already implemented, right? We're already doing coaching, and as a couple of you know, we're already managing people's databases for them, and we're doing whatever, 125 people or whatever, right? So, we've had how many people ask us over the last 2-3 years, whenever you guys do social media, please let us know. Is it gonna be kind of like what you do for yourself, Dave? And I'm like, I don't know, we haven't done it. Here's a question I got for you guys. If we had people offering to pay us in the past to do their social media for them, and we said no, why would we say no? And I'm gonna give you my answer for this question. It's self-critiquing here for a minute, but you do the same at times too. The reason we say no is because we're like, you know what, there's a lot of things on our plate right now, this needs to wait till later, or it's gonna take some resources that maybe we don't have right now, or people we don't really have right now. You know, let's get back to that one, it's too much brain damage on my, can I tell you what all of those things are? Are you ready?
Excuses.
They're excuses that result from this. See if this bothers you today. You say, I can't do this idea. I can't execute this idea because I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the people, I don't have this. What you're saying is, I lack the resources. Let me tell you what you're really saying. You don't lack the resources. You lack the resourcefulness. That's your problem. The reason we didn't take up the social media people that offered it was not a lack of resources, it was my lack of resourcefulness. We could have done it then. So That was on my list. Let's go roll that out when we get back, right? Social media, we'll do it. Same thing like we're doing for ourselves with all the posts to all 5 channels and sending out private messages to create appointments and all that mishmash, right? Okay, good. What else? Bookkeeping. You know, how many private coaching clients of mine want to know their financials, but they never track their financials or whatever? And when I privately coach them, I kind of arm twist them to try to do it. And then most of them still don't do it. So I'm like, to heck with this, I'm tired of this. You can go online and get a bookkeeper for $100, $150 a month, or I just told people, I'll just, you know, the person that does it for me, listen to me carefully, gives me today is the last day of July, right? Day after tomorrow, I'm gonna have my July P&L, where everything's already lined up in the proper buckets, next to June, next to May, next to April, so I can see all my numbers. And I have a scoreboard. Do you know how much I pay for that? Literally? Just under $500 a year, total. But then nobody's doing it. I was like, we gotta just offer this as a product. This is ridiculous, okay? What else could we do as products? Well, I wrote down, you're gonna like this one, I wrote down as products, you know, we could do where realtors can't make money on loans in escrow or whatever, but what the heck? I can do whatever the heck I want. I ain't regulated, I ain't no lender, right? I'm a coach. So I have a lot of realtor friends and I have a lender and escrow friends. Why don't I just make referrals and actually get paid for them? What am I ashamed about? So I've already worked out some deals with some people. I'm like, if anybody's asking me, because I get asked all the time, do you have anybody you recommend? I'll just say, use them. And by the way, if you use them, I'll give you either free coaching or we'll do some of your marketing stuff for you free. You can use all our products. Why not? Why am I ashamed to go out and get paid for that stuff? To do it anyway. You know why I'm ashamed? Why are you ashamed to do stuff like that? You are ashamed to do that stuff because you don't want to look like you're making a lot of money or like you're money hungry. And I'm going to tell you right now, what you've done is you've thrown out the baby with the bathwater. You've said, not only do I not want to be like those jerks, but I don't even want to be successful. Don't be ashamed to be result-oriented, people. Don't be ashamed of it. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's the best idea. I'm not saying we're going to run with that one like Ray. I'm just saying it's an idea. Capture it and start that process. So your number 2 is products. Does that make any sense? Products. Another example of products. This one's an interesting one. Well, let me continue with these ideas and then I'll share with you how this works. Number 3, your third bucket where you can come up with something to radically change your business, marketing. Marketing. Some of the ideas I wrote down on paper were, you know what if we had 3 people part-time calling my database of 7,000 constantly all day, every day? And just telling people, hi Sue, this is Joe or Sue or Sally or whatever. I'm the new assistant for Rosalind Andrews and David Halpern Mastery Consulting. Roz asked me just to call and see if you had any possible interest in getting information about, you know, one-on-one coaching or database management or social media or, you know, P&Ls or having an event in your office or a one-time session. And then just booking it into Roz's calendar or hot swapping it, 3-way calling her in. Just appointment setting, basically. What if I had 3 people doing that constantly all day long? What kind of leads would come in addition to what we're already doing? Another idea I wrote down, hiring 2 more part-timers to send messages out constantly through LinkedIn and Instagram. Any interest in one-on-one coaching or any interest in whatever, like some of you've seen already. Marketing, are you with me? Let me give you, if you're asking me what marketing would I recommend for you, that I think you'd be crazy not to do, a realtor not too far from here calls me up yesterday and says, Dave, just got back from the Mike and Tom event last week. I'm like, uh-oh. So she says, okay. I said, okay. And she says, they were hammering on videos. So I'm thinking about maybe I should do more videos. And they were hammering on social media. And so I'm thinking about that too. And then I reached out to a company that does social media. It was like $400 a month. It kind of felt like too much for me. And then third thing is I'm thinking about maybe follow-up. I need maybe help with follow-up. What do you recommend? That's what she said to me. And in case you're curious, here was my answer. I said, okay, first of all, I love this woman. You know why? She's already coaching with me. Now she's thinking about reinvesting in her business more in some way. This is someone who thinks like a businesswoman. You know, maybe she had fear or whatever, but she's thinking like a businesswoman. I applaud it. I really think it's good. This is what I told her. I said, if you're asking me, this is just my own opinion, okay? You don't have to agree with this. I'm biased, I know. There are 3 great return on investments in business if you're going to invest your money in anything. If you Google reinvesting in business on the internet, you'll basically get two answers: marketing and people, in that order. I don't agree. I think there are three great reinvestments in business, and I think it's a different order. My number one always is mentoring or coaching. Not because I'm doing it or selling it or whatever, because I need it myself, and I understand it. You're not gonna change anything unless your thinking changes. You gotta be hanging around with people that raise your game. Coaching is conversation. Accountability is nothing more than a dialogue. If I bring Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos into this room once a month, and we hang out and do this once a month for a year, and I ask you what's your business gonna be like in a year, I already know your answer. Why? Because you're hanging around with better people that change your own identity, they change your own belief set, they change your own expectation, right? So for me, number one's coaching, mentoring. Number two is people. People, great people transform a business. And number three is marketing. I really like when you can combine them. So this realtor yesterday tells me, I want to invest, but I'm not sure. Should I do videos first? Should I do social media next? Whatever. And honestly, if I were to start from scratch, I would tell her, get mentoring first. But she's already doing that with me, right? And if I honestly would tell her what to do next, I would say, have us manage the database for you or find someone to manage your database for you. But she's already doing it with us. You know what my number three is? I said follow up.
What?
Follow up. I agree with you. Go get somebody to call your database for Pete's sakes, constantly all day long. Let me give you a few. You know what? You may remember this stat. 90% of sales occur on the 4th through 12th contact. 90% of sales do not occur on the first Zillow call, at the open house, at the first listing appointment. 90% of sales occur on the 4th through 12th contact. The average sales professional in America makes how many contacts on average with a potential new client? Yeah, it's like just barely under 2. You know what that means? It means you do an open house. For some bizarre reason, you wait 2 days to call them, which I don't understand. And then when you call them and they don't answer, you never call them back again. That's total dorky. Let me give you a horror story about this. Yesterday, I'm in a C21 office in Norwalk, okay? And some young guy who I met for the first time 2 weeks ago in that office comes up to me yesterday and goes, Dave, what's going on? Hey, how you doing, Robert? And he said, you know, your guys never got back to me. You like hearing that one, don't you? Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking to myself, oh, crap. So he said, he was like a new realtor, but he had a pretty sharp head on his shoulders. And he said, Dave, can you reach out to me? I'm kind of interested in private coaching after our 1 hour session, right? And he says, your guys didn't reach out to you, to me. So I immediately call up Roz after the meeting's over. I'm like, hey, I got this guy. I got his information again for you, but I know he was on the list. And he said, oh, not true. I spoke to him yesterday, she says. And he said, let me call you back. And he never called back, which I believe her, I know her, right? Okay? None of that matters. 90% of sales occur on the 4th through 12th contact. What's the real punchline in all this story? It doesn't matter if we got back to him or not. We need to get back to him 12 times. If we have 12 touches here, I don't care if it's in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, or 12 weeks. If we touch him 12 times, I don't care if it's 1 week by text, 1 week by phone, 1 week by email, and just keep reaching out to him. We're either going to get a deal or not get a deal. Instead of this nonsense, which is we don't know. Does that make sense? Your business will go radically crazy if you're constantly reaching out to leads. Or somebody's doing it for you. Because if you ain't doing it yourself, you better pay somebody to do it for you, kiddos. Interesting? I get a message this morning on text. I'll read you the message. No, I can't. This thing's out of juice here. Anyway, the message was basically, I want to hire somebody. It's a Keller Williams realtor from here in Whittier, who texts me this morning and says, Dave, I'm thinking about hiring somebody who you know to work my database for me and make phone calls. $250 a month, I want to pay him, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? Okay, I won't get into details. But what I told her is, I love the idea under 2 or 3 circumstances. Are you ready? Number 1, pay them a flat rate. I hate hourly rates. When you pay hourly, you get what you pay for. You know what you get? More hours, less work. When you pay a flat rate for a result, you get a result. Second thing I told her is, macro manage through the metrics. What most people do is they delegate and then they abdicate. Don't abdicate. You know what abdicate means? You hire somebody and you never talk to them again, and then you wonder why they stink. Delegate means you hire them and once a week you have a 10 or 15 minute call with them and you look at their numbers together. Casually. That's it. That's delegation. Make sense? So you could create a Google Doc, download all the names in your database, put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and have him put his notes in as he's making these calls. And then all you have to do is you can open it up anytime and see if they're doing a lot of work or not. You can see it visually like this. And you also know how many got booked for you or hot swapped to you. Does that make sense? So I said number one is pay flat. Number two, and not just pay flat, but let them know what's the expectation of the job. It could be, I expect 150 phone calls or voicemails a week. Just make up a number for Pete's sakes, right? And I want 2 referred over to me or whatever each week. That's my number. Okay? Number 2 is delegate, don't abdicate. Talk to them the same time every week for a couple of minutes and review the results. If you're gonna do that, I'm in. Fair enough? I'm in. And you know what I told her was my third idea? Don't pay them $250. Pay them like $150 and hire a second person for $150 and divide up the database. Give one of them $150 only to call. Give the other one $150 or something like this to call. And then you have your own American Idol going or America's Got Talent, right? And you can decide which one's better and keep the one that's better. Don't get locked into that one person. Who cares? Interesting?
Yes.
All right, let's keep going. So the third thing we can do is marketing. The third bucket we can find something to radically transform our business is marketing. Got it? It could be anything. Okay, number 4. What's number 4? The fourth bucket is people. People can transform your business. So you already heard some of my ideas on people. I could get somebody to do this, get somebody to do that. One of the things that was our idea, that was my idea on the vacation was, and we've been talking about it before, was to hire for the database program, because we have a lot of people doing database for us, was the thing that I don't like about our own database program is I want somebody that's full-time and available so everybody in the program can just reach them at all times with requests. Whereas we've had some great people who are like part-time or not available during certain hours or doing other stuff, and I hate that stuff. So one of the ideas on people was get a full-time customer service manager who's handling all the requests for our clients. That was one of the ideas. You know why that's important? You know why that's gonna increase volume? Because guess whose plate that comes off of? Rosalind, who does my sales. Because when they can't reach Alexandria or Armani or whomever in our database program, who do they reach out to? Roz, who's really good at driving our business when she has time to drive our business. Does this make sense? So delegation and peeling things off the plate of the sales producers like you is really important. Because your problem is you spend time playing TC and escrow company half the time. Or jerking around on the computer and doing nothing. Does that make sense? Delegate. Pay somebody small money, take that stuff off your plate. Go sell. Interesting? Okay. I'm going to skip the 5th bucket for a minute. So, let's put a bow around this topic. You ready? Number 1 is the capture of ideas. I just gave you places you can go to come up with ideas. All right? Number 2, step number 2 in thinking time. Step number 2 is now share those ideas with trusted advisors. I shared them with Roz, who's my partner in my business, if you will. And I shared them with 2 businessmen I respect and look up to. But not for the reason you think. I didn't share it with them because I want them to let me know which ideas they think are great, which ideas they think stink. I had them share it with me, you know why? I shared it with them, you know why? This is important. You know why I don't want to hear, I'm not really that interested in what they like and what they don't like. You gotta be very careful. Because you get so influenced by people, holy moly, right? Somebody says, I love that idea, and you get all excited. Somebody says, I hate that idea. They don't have a freaking clue what's gonna work either. All they're doing is sharing their own prejudices and biases with you. Does that make sense? I don't care if it's Warren Buffett. He doesn't know what's gonna work for you in your real estate business. Every idea, let's go back to step 1, cultivating ideas. We have 24 ideas. Which one or ones of those ideas should we eventually test or implement? Yes. Be creative and guess. All of them. All of them. Hey, I don't care if we do them 1 at a time or 2 at a time. We got to get to all of them. You know why? Because you don't know which one's going to radically transform the business. It could be that 5 of them radically transform the business. And your life's different. And your family life is different. Literally. All of them. when you're sharing it with them, don't listen to them. Listen to them, but don't listen to them. So why on earth would you share it with people? Here's why. To hear yourself pitch them. I shared with you some of our products a few minutes ago. If it was 2 weeks ago when I was in here with you guys, I would have shared different products in a different order. So as time passes, you start getting this feel for which ones you want to push now, or which ones get you or are having traction. Does that make any sense? Okay, let me give you another reason why you've got to share these ideas. So I started with Roz and 2 other guys, and then I started, this is a little weird, sort of devious, I guess. I started teaching this topic in my meetings, which is another way for me to share it more and hear myself talk about it. So let me tell you some punchlines. Are you ready for some crazy punchlines? On Thursday mornings, I have coaching clients, 2 guys from Austin, Texas, that have a manufacturing company. They're young and they're really smart, okay? And so I get on the call with them 2 days later, and I'm having this whole conversation with them, trying to get them to think radically to improve their business, right? And Lucas, the 37-year-old CEO, says this to me: I know what you should do, Dave. Now remember, don't listen too carefully, right? This is what he says to me. He says, you should stop, this is what he literally said to me. I hate these guys, they're my clients, right? He says to me this, he says, you should stop being so lazy and get off your butt, get on a plane and come down here to Austin once every 90 days and do a full day board of directors because you're so good with financials and strategy and stuff like that. Heck, I'm sure I could get the boys to cough up 40 grand or something if you get on the plane and come down here. And this is what I said to Lucas. I said, it's funny you say that. You know what, one of the things I wrote down in my journal was to do 2 days quarterly with companies, where the first day is a full-blown like board type meeting, and the second day I'm doing one-on-ones with all the execs, having very candid conversations about do this, don't do this, that kind of stuff. So why do I mention this to you? Last week on Wednesday or Thursday, Roz closes them $30,000, $7,500 down. I'm on a plane in September to go to Austin. I wasn't trying to get their business when I was teaching them this. Now I want to go back in your world. You're a realtor. You've got people you know, friends, family, past clients, circle of influence, all that stuff, leads. For Pete's sakes, why don't you just book appointments for coffee with a bunch of people or whatever you're like doing, and just wear your Realty One polo shirt and the name tag, talk about them the whole time, of course, catch up on their lives. Eventually they're going to ask you what's up. And when they do, you tell them something, some version of, I'm super excited. I'm doing 20 deals a year or whatever I'm doing, but I'm trying to do something radical and get to like 40 or 50, and I have all these crazy ideas like this. If you do 10 or 20 of these meetings, you tell me what's going to happen.
Yeah, pay for somebody.
You're going to get some deals. You know why? Because everybody wants to help you. John Maxwell says in his 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership that the 7th law is the law of respect. People follow leaders naturally stronger than themselves. When you come in with a full head of steam and you're fired up about something, everybody wants to join on board. Everybody wants to hop on your bandwagon. Everybody wants to help you in your cause. Your problem is you're walking around afraid to talk to people. You're not on fire about anything. And you don't have any great ideas. How do you think it's going to change? Any of this making any sense? Share those ideas. We had another one. We get a phone call from, who was it? Oh, this morning at 8 a.m. I'm in Orange to do a first-time coaching session for a realtor who's a part-time realtor who has a full-time job as a manager of a company. Okay, here's the backstory. I coach, the office that he works for is not in Orange, it's actually in Montclair. I'm already coaching that office. The broker says to me, I'm doing this topic with his office in Montclair. And the broker says to me, Dave, hey, real quick question for you. He said, I've got this guy, Alex, you know him, whatever, he's part-time, but he does pretty good volume. I wanted to get him coaching, but maybe just like once every 90 days, because he's still part-time, but I wanted to provide that for him because he's doing a really good job. Do you do that? What's my answer?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. What would have been my answer to the same question a month before?
No, we don't.
We don't.
Quarterly? No. How about this one for you? When you want to build a business, write down these 3 principles of how do you grow a business radically and fast. How your mindset has to change. Number 1, F-O-W-T-W. F, like Frank, O-W-T-W. F-O-W-T-W. This is the first step to doing crazy business. Are you ready? F-O-W-T-W stands for find out what they want. Find out what they want. Second one, ready? G-A-G-I. 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 What does that stand for? Ready? Go and get it. Last one, G-I-T-T. Translation? Give it to them. That's how you do a lot of business. Find out what they want, go and get it and give it to them. Rosalind, we're talking about all these ideas when I get back from the trip, right? Rosalind's all excited about these ideas. So, do you understand the rule, by the way? The rule is when this broker says, do you do that or do you offer that, the answer from now on forever is yes. I don't even care what they say. Does that make sense? That's how you do a lot of business. And that's how you start finding and creating new products while you're at it. Fascinating. Roz comes back and I'm just having conversations with her about these ideas and she's starting to roll out this stuff. So what does she do? Within 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, she sells like 4 people to do the bookkeeping P&L stuff with us. 2 people sign up for the social media with us. All this kind of stuff. Crazy stuff, right? She schedules a phone call with someone you may even know, certainly your parents would know through the grapevine, you probably know too, a woman who owns a bunch of offices. And so I'm doing a call with this woman, and I said, what do you want? And she says, well, what do you offer right now? So what was my answer?
Everything.
Well, what do you need, right? And she starts giving me a list of things. So I said, no problem, we can do that. No problem, we can do that. And so we sent her an email that said, if you want to do this, here's the price, here's the discount if you prepay. We just threw everything in it. Here's the blah, 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 all this stuff. You know, it's interesting. It's like it's impossible not to do something when you give people a menu of choices. Does that make sense? She only chose 1 out of the 3 things. It didn't matter. The likelihood of her doing something was really high because we do everything. Does that make sense? I don't care what you need. We do it. That's the thinking. Now, Ross sells this stuff, right? So now, in the first few days, there's some radically weird stuff going on in our business. I got back on the night of the 9th, okay? I'll give you the punchline in a few minutes on this one. About a week ago, I'm doing another call with my crazy dudes in Texas. And they really annoy me. And the reason they annoy me is they're doing great in business. I love coaching them. I have a long-time relationship with them too. But they always twist it around somewhere in the middle of the coaching session or near the end. They're like, okay, we're good, Dave. Let's work on your business now. This is like the way they are. It's really annoying because they come up with great ideas, right? So this is what Lucas, 37-year-old, says to me. This is about a week ago now, right? Today's the 31st of the month, I remind you. He says, how you doing this month towards 40? Okay? So I told him, I said, I think we got a shot at 30 to 32K more this month. Crazy stuff, right? And he said, yeah, but. I said, but what? He said, if I told you you freaking have to do 40 now in July, what would you do? Okay? That is a great leaders ask great questions. That's a great question. If I had to go to, just use the Nick example because we were talking numbers before, 30 transactions a year, that pace right now, where I'm starting to close 2.5 a month or whatever that is, right? And it has to start, we'll give you at least a September or an August ramp up in your business because you got a pipeline, right? Starting September 1, you're already on pace to do 30, 2 or 3 every month. If you do 1, you got to do 5 and whatever, right? What do you need to do right freaking now in order to get this thing now? Nail it now. And I gave him 3 answers on that call. Without thinking carefully, I just spewed it out, right? I said, I think the 3 things that would do it now would be, number 1, hiring the 3 people to call the database constantly, right? Number 2 would be the people sending out the messages on Instagram, LinkedIn. And number 3, I said, this would help, but it wouldn't help. I wouldn't be done. It would be too late for this month, but I would do the same thing for next month, is hiring somebody to book speaking events, because we do a lot of product sales at speaking events, okay? Okay, so that's what we put. Do you know what I got out of that call? Great leaders ask great questions, and what are you waiting for? Hire them today. Today. We've done, last Saturday Roz and I did about 8 interviews through Upwork. I could give you a little tour of Upwork for those of you that want to stick around. That's an interesting tool. We did about 6 or 7 last week. We hired 3 people 2 Saturdays ago for our team. We thought 2 of them would be rock stars. One of them, of course, naturally quit on us 72 hours later. Welcome to the real world. We hired a replacement for her end of last week. So far, she seems like a mini rock star, which is cool, but it's early, right? And we have more interviews lined up for Saturday. Why? Because every position I want 2 people because I don't really care if they stick or not. I'm just looking for the best talent. I don't have any time to mess around. We gotta build this thing now. You know why we have to build it right frickin' now? There's no reason, other than I believe that I should be modeling this, not this. And you should too. And you should stop running away from your own identity. Stop it, right? You're sabotaging your business because of self-belief and doubt and all that fear and all that mishmash. It's enough, it's enough. Why wait until you're 80 to do this stuff and manifest it? Really, seriously, get moving. In case you're curious, we ended up 37 was the final number. Best month ever, crazy stuff. You know, the cool thing about it is not me. The cool thing about it is now Roz's income as a result is an entirely different bucket, which is different for her. So she's kind of doing cartwheels. Interesting?
Congratulations.
Which is great for her, more importantly.
Which also means that she's more motivated, right?
Yeah, now she's like, I think I'm just gonna spend time selling and I'm gonna delegate like a queen now. Listen to me carefully. This is my assistant, who's not really an assistant, who is now like, I need stuff off my plate. And I'm like, heck yeah, go for it, girl, please. Does this make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because everything she does that's administrative is crushing her life and mine. So now we can push it down further. And I always tell people, if I can't help her build a great life, you should never coach with me. I mean, for Pete's sake, she's my familia, right, sort of. Okay, any of that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so that topic has more elements, but let's pause for takeaways and then we can switch gears and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know what you call that topic, but you come up with your version of it. What one idea specifically from all of this crazy stuff, what one specific idea or concept caught your attention the most? Let's go around the horn if we can. Let me go kind of go around if we can.
Skip me.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Go ahead. One idea, just one element of this.
I like that the reinvesting in your business, the first one is mentoring and coaching, and then people and then marketing.
Good, mentoring and coaching, love it.
Thinking of maybe hiring someone to help me with my database.
Hiring somebody to help with the database,
Yes.
excellent, good.
I think more important than all that is thinking time.
Thinking time.
Truthfully, because if you don't have thinking time, how are you gonna really think about growing your business or what to implement, or even ask the questions? And I like what you said is actually putting that question down in a notepad during your thinking time and just keep jotting.
Yeah, I want this obsession over the subjective and then ideas flow, right?
As quiet as I was trying to be, David.
It's okay.
Never failed.
That was-
Never failed.
I wanted
Did you wanna
Lucas here.
share? Oh.
It was
I
expected.
was trying to be like as quiet as possible.
Donna.
It's always done.
Or he already knows.
I also say take thinking time, schedule thinking time.
Schedule thinking time,
Yes,
right?
and write down everything.
What's that?
Yeah, write
Write
down
down
everything.
everything. Capture the ideas for Pete's sakes. Capture. I mean, you know, now it's actually, I warn you though a little bit, because I've been doing so much idea capture that I'm a little worried about myself lately, to be honest with you, right? No, seriously, it's, to be fair, the last couple of weeks have been very hard work. Breaking through takes energy. So you gotta also be careful on this kind of stuff. Like this Friday, my wife and I, we've intentionally scheduled nothing, and we already made a decision that we're getting up at sunrise and doing some crazy like 8-mile walk. And then we're picking up our daughter from King, so we're basically shutting down, if you know what I mean. Gotta be a little careful, but because it does take energy. But man, what a breakthrough, right? I mean, seriously, good stuff, right? And everybody understand, it's not like you need it, everybody's got a roof and a meal. But how do you wanna live, right?
All great thinking is done in writing. I like that.
Excellent. Very good.
I'm with him, but I kind of started doing that before because you were talking about little note pages, and my desk right now has those all over. But what I've been doing is keeping it in a journal so it's all centralized, because I lose those notes and then I'm like, it's basically like forgetting it. So now that I'll keep it in one place, I'm gonna go back through it and I'm like, oh, okay, wow, okay, there. So and I've actually come up with some ideas to market lately that I've been writing down that I just kind of thought of like in a meeting, and I was like, oh shit, I gotta write that down. And now I'm like acting them out, so it's kind of kind of circling back to that.
Very good, love it, excellent.
Yeah, for me it was find out what they want, go and get it and give it to them.
Find out what they want, go and get it, give it to them. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of, basic and done. Yeah.
What's the other saying where if you keep doing what you've been doing, then you're gonna keep getting what you've been getting or something?
Yes, if you always do what you always did, you always get what you always got, right?
It's like the truest thing ever too.
It's so weird, if your activities stay the same, your results stay the same. Do me a favor, jot down, I'm gonna give you Roz's number real quick, jot it down, just so you have it. And for 2 or 3 reasons, just in case you have an interest. So her number is 909-743. 743-1866. Couple things, just in case you have an interest, and you'll have the number for the future anyway. Number one, if you're doing anything with us, it doesn't matter if it's the $20 program or whatever, call her up because she's doing prepaid, like heavy discount type stuff. Call her, so save some money while you're at it. I told people that are privately coaching with me, I want every person I know that's privately coaching to do it because it's ridiculous not to, if that makes sense, right? Second thing is if you have an interest in any of those things like the social media or whatever, she'll give you the, the kind of the different things and the database and the, bookkeeping and everything else, right, and the coaching and whatever. Gotta get rolling?
Yes.
Okay, good to see you.
Thank you, Dave.
I'll shift gears here
It
with
was
topic
good,
for you.
good class, thank you.
Everyone has their open houses, right?
Yes.
Good question on that. So let's say you have like a bajillion ideas, right? It sounds so great. But I think sometimes, cause I do a lot of journaling, I think sometimes I have so many ideas that it gets overwhelming and then I shut down. I'm like, okay, like I power off.
So there is another step here. Are you ready? Let's see if I can show you a step. So what I do now with ideas is, we also, since we're capturing the ideas, now we have 24 ideas. Most people I work with will maybe come up with 4 or 5 or 6 ones. I mean, I don't even good ones. I mean, just people aren't used to thinking. It's like they don't know how to use that muscle, right? So, but I want to show you what I do with capture and then simplify. How do we keep this thing so it's not insane, right? Because you can't do a multitude of things, right? So, capturing the ideas in one place is kind of important. So I have a tab called Critical Drivers Revenue Boost Turbo, and here are all these ideas, right? Starts with this one. You know what the number one, so one of these ideas I put here, okay, I'm sorry, I left out category number 5 for ideas. Where else can you get radical breakthrough? Ready? Accountability. Accountability can create radical breakthrough. And what is accountability? Ideally, accountability is minimum daily. Minimum daily, if not 2 times a day. Crazy? So one of the ideas, as I'm looking at it, so you need to know this, was, listen to this idea. This is an idea to do 40K a month more in business right frickin' now. Listen to this idea. Are you ready? Review sales twice a day with Rosalind and continue to review the HOTS weekly. That's it. Nice and simple. When I was at Crescent Jewelers in my 20s and early 30s with them, the store managers used to have to report sales at 2 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 8 o'clock, 7 days a week to the supervisor, who would report it to the VP, who would report it to the CEO, and if it was 30 minutes later and the CEO didn't get their numbers, the CEO would call the supervisor, the VP who would call the supervisor, who would call the store manager and go, where the F are my numbers in those days, right? Crescent was really good at sales and selling. Why? Because there was an urgency where 3 times a day the manager had to report numbers. So every time they called, they didn't want to say I have 0, and they didn't want to say I have the same number as last time. So it chunked down the day into bite-sized modules, so it would be like, okay, I got 3 hours, I gotta go get another one. Does everybody understand the importance of that kind of accountability? So what if I call Roz twice a day to review the sales number? I actually put that down as one of the ideas. One of the radical ideas that I thought would break through the business big time, because she does so many other things in the business that sales is not necessarily a focus. It's crazy, but true, and I'm supposed to be the business coach. Okay, let's get back to this. How do you deal with a multitude of ideas? Well, look at a column I put in here with these ideas. I put in here an idea, monthly financial benefit net of costs. I actually went through item by item during a thinking time session and said, how much more money am I going to make from this idea if we do it just okay? Not great, just okay. I mean, let's let's talk my real instinct. How much more money and if I have to pay people, I gotta subtract it out of there. How much more net profit can we make? And I went through every item and put a number. And then what I did was, I took those numbers and I hid them. And then what I do? I opened up an extra column and I called up Roz and I said, Roz, I have some homework for you. Guess where I'm going with this one, guys? I said, Roz, I want you to go through all of these items and I want you to put in there what you think this is gonna make us more in a month. And she put in her numbers. So now we got her numbers and my numbers right next to each other. You can actually see them here. And you'll see some mysterious stuff because she had no idea I put my numbers in there. She had no idea. And if you look through them, you'll find they're mysteriously similar in a lot of cases, but then you'll get somewhere it's way different. Like here's one where she thinks this one's $10,000 a month, I think it's $2,000 a month. And there was one in there, I don't remember what it was. I think it's the bomb, and she's like, I am not doing that. I don't care what you say, we are not doing that. I mean, totally radically different. Most of it were similar, but there's a beautiful exercise in this. Let me show you something else for a minute. So now, this is running out of battery, so hopefully I can show it before
If I
it
can
dies.
just comment really quick, David.
Please,
It's
please.
funny if you said that, you started writing that, because I literally started doing the same thing right here.
What am I gonna make?
Exact by numbers.
So now,
How much more can I make a month if I do with these ideas?
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Literally just do that right now.
Beautiful. That is businessman.
And I jotted them down.
Businessman, businesswoman thinking. This thing is down to 2%, so it's probably gonna wipe out. You can't even see it. But what it is I coach a
Time
software.
for a new phone there. The screen was like kind of
It's
flickering.
2%, I'm sorry. Yeah, I drop it on his head all the time. So this is a software company. Owners have owned it 35 years. They hired me to help them with retirement or sale or transition or whatever. Now here we are, I'm still coaching them 2 years later, and they're like, I arm twisted. I'm like, why would you sell a company? You don't, so their gross, the 73-year-old Craig, the husband, he's retired, fully retired. The 68-year-old wife, Antoinette, shows up 3 hours a week to the office. The business grosses $2 million and they net $800, $750K a year. I remind you, he doesn't work at all and she works 3 hours a week. Okay? And I'm like, why on earth would you sell this business? What's wrong with you people? Right? Keep the freaking. So now I got them completely thinking differently. So what do? We do this exercise. It's like, let's talk about how we can radically increase your business. And they whiteboarded 8 or 9 ideas. What you can't see here because it's too dark now is all 4 of them, husband and wife, CEO, 35-year-old techie guy, and head of sales, who's their daughter, who happens to be actually very good, all put what they thought each idea was worth in a year. All 4 of them next to each of the ideas, okay? We're walking out to the car after this, just what you did, with all 4 people. So it'd be pretty interesting for you to hide that information, have your dad take a crack at it, have your mom, maybe 1 or 2 of the guys in here whose opinions you value, right? And just get outside perspective, maybe take some averages, see not that any of it matters, but all we're trying to do right now is prioritize. We want to test all of them at some point, but we want to go little by little and prioritize. Which ones do we think might have greater bang for the buck? Let's start there. Does that make sense? Like for us, one of the ones that we thought would have great bang for the buck would be discounting prepays because people would want to save money. We have a lot of clients that are on monthly payments with us, and that was a total hit this past month. I mean, ridiculous. We have tons of people lined up for next month, including Mark as an example. But that idea we both thought was a big one, and we were right. Doesn't mean we're proof geniuses. We're usually wrong. That's how business works, right? So prioritize. Interesting. The 68-year-old wife, Antoinette, walks me out towards the car, and this is what she says to me on the way out. She's like, I don't know if you know this, but we've had so many meetings about this. We are so excited about this stuff. You know what's really wild? 2 or 3 of these ideas we can implement now without additional resources. And those ideas in their numbers, by the way, all of those ideas added up to 1.8 million. In other words, they think these 7 or 8 ideas could double their volume. Heck, even if they just nailed the 3 of them that they think takes no additional resources, it'll increase their business radically. Now, this is where, how do you prioritize? You got 2 ways to prioritize. Number 1 is do the exercise of seeing which ones have greater financial benefit, in your opinion. You're guessing, you don't know, but it's a good place to start. Number 2, which ones take less resources and less brain damage to execute? Right? For us to go and say, we'll save you money, just prepay, how much effort does that take us as a company? 0. Right? Talking to people. Make sense? We had somebody last week who's doing $20 a month with us and just prepaid for 3 years. Okay, why not? With a discount off that, what's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, right? That kind of thing. So I think the way you should do this would be come up with your numbers, maybe make another column that says how hard is it to do this thing on a scale of 1 to 10, and then just pick 1 or 2 for starters. Maybe do thinking time with others. Remember, part of this is to pitch others on it. Maybe it's to sit down and you present your sheet to 1 or 2 people and let them give you feedback, and then remember, it's still your business and your life. You determine how to prioritize. Don't do too many things. We rolled out, basically, to put it bluntly, we actually rolled out quite a few things at once here. So one is the prepay, which is easy. Another one was the social media, which we had to start doing. Another one was the bookkeeping, which was actually easy, because my bookkeeper's a monster, right? What else? I don't know. You get the basic drift. That's pretty much it. And we're hiring like goobers, but keep it simple. But remember, this list is, you want to get to all of them at some point, but you just want to start. So if something works great for you, if something still needs some more work, stick with it for a while. If something doesn't work at all, throw it out. Go to the next one. Is that helpful? Okay. How are we doing on time? We're good, huh? All right, guys. I am basically, that was the kind of the thing that for some reason I just wanted to spit out there because I just think it's juicy. But any random questions or ideas on this topic, or any other time? You still got me for half an hour here, so I'm good to go in any direction you want. I got more meat if you want to on different topics here. But shoot away, whatever comes to mind.
How do you? I've been. I know one thing that I learned from you. I know when you asked me what stuff I implemented, I couldn't think of anything. There's a bunch of stuff that I've actually been thinking about since you started.
Sure.
But more tracking the income, like literally month by month, like every day I get that check, whatever it is. But the expenses are more, for me, difficult because they're kind of more random, and I'm a little less excited to track those, if that makes sense. But like when you get paid, you're like, oh cool, let me track that. So that looks good. But the other end, do you have like, even if it's just like, for me it's like marketing stuff. So I usually pay with checks so I can make a copy, so I have it, but it's just kind of going through it and being more accurate, I guess. But
so
any tips on that?
I would like to actually do some show and tell on that topic, because I think that one's really important for all of us. So when I work with private coaching clients, they're usually more open to doing stuff like this because they're already engaged in a process like this.
So sorry.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You left your keys.
Oh, I'm not gonna get far. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm going to tell you that's kind of a mistake. Everybody should be wanting to do this stuff. But let me tell you why the bookkeeping piece, the P&L piece for you, and I don't care if you're doing 2 transactions a year or 222, why it's so important. My experience is one of the reasons why people really sabotage their own businesses is money fear. That they're constantly in money fear. It doesn't matter if they're doing well, they're constantly in money fear. It is perhaps the biggest saboteur in business of them all. What's interesting is I have clients, and I'm thinking of a married couple out in the Inland Empire who are a ridiculously strong example of this. I start coaching them. We start doing what I'm about to show you. It's like 3 months later-ish, and they're on fire in their business. And I asked them why, and they said, oh, it's because we no longer have money fears now that we're doing this tracking, and man, that really helped us to relax, and now we're having fun and we're building our business. This is what I said to them. I know it's kind of the wrong thing to say, but I said, yeah, but your financial situation still sucks. And I said it intentionally like that. In other words, their pipeline was cooking. Steve and Carla Hans, they're the SKA team out in the Inland Empire. Great people, right? Anyway, and they were laughing. They're like, because they know me, they're like, stop messing with us or whatever. I'm like, no, your situation hasn't improved yet. You're like, yeah, but you see our pipeline. I'm like, I know, but your financial situation hasn't improved at all in 90 days. And this is what Carla said, and this is, I believe this with all. She said, yeah, but because we can see it on paper, we see the optics, we have the scoreboard, now we understand it's not desperate or whatever, and we know how to work our way through it, and we know what's coming. Listen to me carefully. What gets brought to the light improves. What you keep in darkness remains a source of fear. Bookkeeping is a bigger deal than just tax prep or financial planning. It's about eliminating fear so you can build a business. Does this make any sense at all? It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I told this story, I think some of these guys heard it, when I was like, my resume looks so beautiful on paper. Top 5% of my graduating class at Yale, Phi Beta Kappa, Summa Cum Laude, went to work for an investment bank, COO of Crescent Jewelers, CEO of a database marketing company. Now I'm 40 years old with a wife and daughter, and our net worth was big negative. Which means Yale didn't teach me jack either. They don't teach the important stuff, like how to have a relationship, how to manage money, how to have a life. Nobody teaches that stuff, right? So here I am at age 40, and now here I am, fast forward to age 53. What a beautiful picture now, thank God. The only real thing that changed, there were quite a few things that changed, but a big one was my wife and I started looking at a P&L and a balance sheet for ourselves every month, and we have been every month since then, by doing exactly what I'm gonna show you. It changed everything, because now we're on the same page. Oh, we still have slight differences, but they're small compared to 13 years ago. We're trying to build the same thing. When you do this, you don't get perfect, and I hate budgets, I think they're stupid. Nobody does budgets because it feels restricting. But when you're looking at the numbers every month next to each other, you start trying to tweak them. And that's how business owners think, that's how entrepreneurs think. I don't know if you guys know Willie Escobar. He's a super high-powered lender up in Pasadena, like 140 transactions a year or whatever. He's with the mortgage guy. He's like working with, what's Alfred's last name? I forget his name. Anyway.
Rivera. Al Rivera.
Persona or whatever.
Yes, I forget.
Halpern.
Halpern. Preciado.
Preciado.
That's the one, right. Okay, good, thank you. So I coach Willie and his wife Christine privately, right? Willie's a great guy, sharp guy, very sharp, right? You guys would like him, like you know. So I'm talking to Willie. Willie, we do his P&L for the very first time. I mean, for all what he's building, with his 140 loans a year or whatever, he's never looked at a P&L like this on a monthly basis. We do his first P&L, and he texts me and says, "You got a minute?" And I said, "Of course." So I call him up, I'm like, "What's up?" And he said, $4,000 in food last month. Dude, he says to me, he said, and I said to him, "Do you drink?" And he said, "No." I said, "Wow, that's really hard to do. That's really hard to do $4,000 a month without drinking, right?" And he said, "This is insane. It should be like $1,500 a month or something." And I'm like, "You're right." And he said, "What I could do with that $2,500, and I said, "Okay, now stop. This is an important question. Let's go there. What could you do with that $2,500? Be specific." So he ended up literally hiring a salesperson. And the salesperson does nothing but call his database to book appointments for him and sell his mortgage loan academy because he's training loan officers. And he does that because he loves teaching. Interesting? So he just did his first mortgage loan academy, had 10 people pay $2,500 each to do 4 full days with him. So he just popped 25 grand doing that, which he loves doing anyway. Oh, incidentally, 3 or 4 of the loan officers that went there are now asking him, "Can I come and work with you and leave my company and go with you?" Because they liked him so much, because he's a real trade, he's a mentor type, right? And what did it cost him? Are you ready? Nothing. It cost him eating out a little less with Christine. Because apparently they're addicted to eating out. Interesting? So this stuff matters.
That's pretty impressive without alcohol.
Listen, me and Kevin go out and drink all the time, and we don't go anywhere near that. Shit, what are they eating?
Yeah,
You get like
Whole Foods, it's probably more expensive than
our bill's like $400 or $500, and then it's like 2 appetizers, all drinks.
Yeah, and then anyway.
$500, what are you talking about?
So today is the 31st of the month. Everybody with me? Do you understand how aware I am of the days of the month and how many business? Because I think like a business owner. Today was the last bank deposit, so I know what cash hit the account this month. Interestingly enough, since today was the last bank deposit, I pay Roz over and above her salary, something based on her performance for the month. So today, the month just ended. It's not even ending, but we got the final bank deposit. I've already paid her for July today. Why? Because that's how I want to treat my people. We ain't waiting 3 months or 1 day even. We're ready because we know the numbers. Interesting. Okay. Why does this matter? Because today's the 31st. I am the only business owner on earth who I can say this for. I will have my July P&Ls done by Friday and added to my spreadsheet with all of the months right next to each other. I don't know one other, I don't care how wealthy they are, I don't know one other person that gets them that fast. Everyone I know who's a rock star in business gets a P&L by the 10th or 15th of the month. Most people I know don't get any P&Ls ever, as you know. So what I want to show you is what do I get for myself, and what do we do for other people, if that makes sense, right? It's very simple. So here's your template, just to help you with this one, Nick, right?
Mm-hmm. And you actually sent it to me before, when you first went over it.
This is gonna look a little different.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so, because this is somebody else prepping it, not you. So here's the key, the principle behind this is very simple. If you're gonna do it yourself, you may do it for 1 month, you may do it for 2, you will stop doing it. And the reason you will stop doing it is because if it was your gift, you'd already be doing it. Do what you do best and outsource the rest. The way you're supposed to do P&Ls is to pay somebody to do your P&Ls. Now, if you wanna get a bookkeeper online, it's $125, $150 a month. Okay, that's your typical stuff. So here's a guy, Naeem, he's a realtor. And this is what I have him do. Like, what I do it a little differently myself personally, just to share with you openly. So for me, what I do is my bookkeeper I give him the passwords to all my logins. So I give him my credit card and bank account passwords. I know him and I trust him, right? And he goes right in there and he downloads and puts stuff in their buckets. Done, okay? Now, I don't necessarily want to tell people to give me their passwords. So what I told Naeem was, he's an example of this. What I told him was, just download your bank statements and your credit card statements. If you can do it in CSV format, great, it makes it fast for us. If you do it in PDF, fine, we'll do it the old-fashioned way, one by one, right? He sent it to me PDF, he's not a techie. All right, fine. I sent it to my bookkeeper, and literally less than 48 hours later, it was done. And that's how you're supposed to do your books, right? Because now you have live information. So here, when I say done, here's what he did. This is the example of a new person. So it's basically by month, May, June, July. It has the revenue categories on the top all added in together, right? I don't know if you can see it, but, and then down below you've got all the expenses by category. And these are the tax categories. In other words, when it's January 2nd, you're ready to file taxes is the idea, right? And now in the beginning, there are gonna be items in there like, that he's like, I don't know what they are. So what he does is he drops them into a bucket. And the bucket is called blank over here, right? This bucket, blank. The blank was, I have $3,600 in checks, you get on your way. And the bookkeeper's like, I don't know what they are, right? Great, no problem. You click on this, and there's the details. So while I'm privately coaching Naeem, I said, Naeem, here you go, there are about 10 items in here. He doesn't know what they are. Just go right next to it, just write what they are. That's it. Because, I mean, some of them are obvious to you and I. Faux Viet Miraloma, we can guess what that one is, right? But let's say check 8,000 is to, some utility company or whatever. He pops it in the utility company, but every month after today, you don't have to remind him what that is because it automatically goes in that bucket. So what I'm trying to say is the first 2-3 months, you're gonna get the P&L immediately, and then you're gonna get me with a series of just a couple questions for this month, and we'll clean it up over the period of 2-3 months. And that's it, and you're just gonna get these things popped out, and you're gonna get them in less than 48 hours anyway.
And his personal stuff's in there too, like the electric bills and his house.
So one of the projects that he's got also is, because I'm privately coaching with him, so I just take a few minutes on the coaching call and go, let's go through a few of these, which are personal, which are business, and he tells me, and all I do is just mark it in there, and the bookkeeper fixes it. It's super simple. But the key is you got every month lined up next to each other. Now here's why. Because now, I don't care if you have no financial background. Anybody can be a high level financial guy in your own business. All you're doing is looking at it and saying, why is that number so freaking big? Or why is that number so small, that doesn't seem right? Or today we had a bank deposit that went through, and actually I looked at the bank deposit this morning, I'm like, that's too high, that doesn't make any sense. And then I actually went and researched it. It was actually shockingly correct, okay? I actually thought it was wrong and too high, or whatever. Somebody got double charged for something. No, it was actually fine. But when you ask those questions, when you go $4,000 a month in food, that's how you run a business. I don't believe in budgets. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. I think the right way to run a life and a business is look at numbers and decide which ones you want to take some action on and tweak them. And use that money and reinvest, as some of you were saying. Don't be afraid. Go build your business. Right? So, anyway, that's kind of an interesting random one. FYI, I think reach out to Roz if you're interested in this, but she's doing, I think her pricing on it is $75 a month. If you prepay a year, it's like $4.97 or something ridiculous like that. And then if you have like a multitude of accounts, it's like $20 a month higher or something like that. It's not a big deal, because we got some people that have.
And what does she usually ask for in terms of that? Just your accounts and everything?
Yeah, we like to do bank statements and credit card statements. Like I said, ideally, in CR, CSV format, but unless there's something else you have that's, that's kind of important to you. Everybody's a little different, so it doesn't really matter, right? But it all goes in one place. You're just seeing this. Fair enough? But nice and simple, that's the idea. For me, I live on this stuff. So Friday, I'm gonna have the numbers, and I'm gonna have sometime over the weekend, have a quick look with my wife. And right now we look at it, it's like maybe 5 minutes, maybe.
Because you're already organized, it's already together for you.
We've been doing it for years. So if something stands out, I'll immediately spot the big numbers, and she'll spot, like last month she's like, I got to cancel this third life insurance policy. I'm like, why do you have 2 life insurance policies on me? Yeah, exactly. What's that all about, right? And she's like, I know, I need to cancel it. I keep forgetting to call. Okay, but that conversation, if we keep having the conversation, it's eventually gonna
My stupid
go away.
charter bill. Been trying to call charter for like a year. Not charter, Spectrum. My bill just keeps getting higher and higher.
I've been trying to call Spectrum for like 7 months.
Dude, I just keep putting it off. Like, I don't want to argue with these
It went
people.
from like
That's how they get you.
it went from 140 to like 218 in like
Yeah.
60
Mine's like 270 now, dude.
So,
oh, what? Fucking. Yeah.
As a business owner, this is a royal pain in the you-know-what, but I do this once in a blue moon, and just did it recently, might be something for your dad and mom to consider, is call and say that your card was stolen, because it'll give you a chance to reboot everything the next month. Like, I got a phone call this morning from our dry cleaner saying your payment bounced, and we need a new card or whatever, and it was intentional. But it wasn't for the dry cleaner, it's because I have all these $10 and $49 and things that, that I don't need, and how do you get a hold of people through the internet anymore to cancel stuff? It's insane for some of them, it's really hard, right? I don't have the time to go cancel $49 a month. I'm not gonna spend my time doing that. But to whack a card once
So
in a
you're
blue moon,
talking about like those little things you sign up for, and you're like, why am I even paying for this dumb thing? It's like $6 a month or something. Is that what you're talking about?
well, a bad example is I keep getting charged from iTunes.
Yeah,
And I know what it is.
$7.
It's my daughter buying stuff without saying stuff, and I love my daughter dearly, but now I whacked it. Now she's all panicky because now she can't even log into her iPad or whatever, right? But it's okay, because the message will be clear or something. But there's stuff like that. There's subscriptions that are out there. I've got something called care.com, $25 a month. What the heck is care.com? So I Google it, and it's like they're a consulting service that you can reach out to them to you can get ratings on care providers. When did we do that? And if we did it, we probably did it once, and we've been getting charged $25 a month for like 2 years. I mean, this stuff's ridiculous.
It adds up a little bit.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but some.
And if you value your time as businessmen, and if I do, we are not going to spend our time chasing a $25 charge. We're going to delegate it somehow. But that's how business owners think, because we want to spend our time in the bigger things, like we spent time talking about today, right? How do you really move something?
That's funny, I never thought about that. I lost my card.
Well, then if you get emails and stuff from the company like, hey, you need to reactivate, be like, I'm not
Yeah,
reactivating
you
this
guys-
shit. That's how you find out what it is.
Unsubscribe.
Don't reach out to you, because that $25 is more of that. They have people that's their job. Is to reach out
Cause
to
I
you.
do that. I have iTunes, Pandora, this, that, just random
Yeah,
stuff
like
that I don't even
$6,
need.
$10, but
It adds up,
it's
it adds
probably
up.
$200 a month,
It adds up, yeah.
which is what,
And don't worry, they'll chase you.
$1,200.
You'll get what you need. Like I got one Sly broadcast, $2.95 a month. There's no way on earth I'm ever spending 5 seconds to go cancel the $3 a month charge.
Yeah.
But I'll be happy to take that back along with the other bigger stuff, right? So.
And it definitely adds up.
Yeah. All right, guys. You still got me for a little bit here if you got questions, random stuff. But this was an interesting topic too. It's like
No, it was good.
measuring, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Hope it was helpful today.
It was. Very helpful.
Did we not take a picture? I guess we didn't take a picture.
Forgot, but we could.
Or we can use a little one.
Everyone that read.
Oh, I
The
know.
more people, they're like, yeah, our meeting was great
People are
today.
no longer
People have no
right.
idea.
Yeah.
Nobody has any idea.
Here, let's see. You want to take it right here in the front, or?
I got long arms. Or go get somebody.
Yeah, let's get somebody.
Get your dad too. Or is he still that client?
And Norman, can you take a picture?
Pleasure.
Thank
you, appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, some good takeaways.
Welcome here.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, great people to learn from. They know what
Can you
they're
take a
doing.
picture
So
of us?
that's the good news, right? And they have art
Alright.
teachers that helps.
Smell it.
Otherwise, it's kind of you're getting in an office with great people, and it doesn't matter if you're not getting them. So.
True.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that was good.
Helpful.
Good one. It always is. Like I said, there's always one thing I'm like, this idea I got. Let me do it.
We're ready.
And that idea that I was telling you about that I had, that was a good idea. I just added to it. It kind of popped into my head like, duh.
Right on. Should we import people for a
What's going on?
Yeah. Take a picture.
Yeah, right.
Get people off the street like that.
What's on my phone?
Good, how you doing?
Norma, you could be in the picture. Keith's gonna take it.
You sure?
Yeah, you're in it.
Ready?
Come on,
Hey,
in.
come here.
Everybody.
Everybody's a captain. Packed house ad, right? Yeah.
Go on that side.
Come on, dude. That's why we call you Smelly.
Come on, Smelly.
Just like mess with it.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. Thanks, Keith.
Perfect.
You're welcome. Usually you're the one wanting to take
Alright.
a picture. Now I had to get you to do it.
Perfecto.
Thanks, Bobby.
Yeah, great to see you. Great to meet you.
Good meeting you.
Pleasure, yeah.
5-1.
David, how long did you go on your vacation for? The cruise?
15 days?
Came
Yeah,
close to
cruise
killing me.
Cruise was like 11.
Because my homie took me.
11 days.
Will Smith, the little gif of Will Smith.
Where'd
dancing.
you go?
Yeah.
What was it?
We flew to Venice.
I don't know
2-3
what-
days there, and then we did a cruise down the Adriatic.
Barnes and
Slovenia.
They sent Barnes down.
Yeah, no, but they should send Gabriel too. Like, I don't even know why they picked him again.
Croatia.
I think he's a good clubhouse
It's
guy.
like, I don't know, I think it's like Italy 75
Kinda like
years ago
Aegon
before it
was.
fully discovered.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Well, Adrian's almost played
We're-
good.
Yeah, I appreciate
They-
it. But they kept him for a while just because of that.
Well, my baby's
Weird how they sent him down. All of a
So,
sudden,
we're gonna
all of a sudden,
try to
he
do
like
a
disappeared
trip
and
around
retired.
June,
Like he didn't
July.
play the World Series.
I don't know.
Like, wasn't that weird?
Yeah.
Do,
I think they should have kept
Did you
him.
see that Astros pick of Zach Greinke?
Yeah.
Dubrovnik.
Robnik?
Dubrovnik, it's where Game of Thrones is filmed. It's like
Yeah,
this
yeah.
beautiful.
I didn't
city.
know that.
It's
I looked at
That's
that city.
beautiful.
That's really
In
sick.
any of the
Finland?
islands in that area.
Yeah.
There's some great, yeah, I made several hundred islands. And there are a couple that are really popular.
Like,
They're
your brother's
beautiful.
on
That's the
The
one
water
place
is
I've been-
beautiful. It's
That's the one place I've been wanting to go like for the past year.
Yeah.
We were canceled all our. We usually try to take a trip every year. Gone for like 2, maybe 2-3 weeks between there. And this year couldn't. She got pregnant, so then. Anyway, it's another good thing.
You were in Croatia too?
It's amazing.
That's on my list. My
Second-
family's from
second-
Croatia.
Second time there.
My family's Croatian.
Wow.
So,
You're
my
neighbor.
great-
I should have guessed.
Bucketish, there you go.
Bucketish. What part of the country?
I don't even know, but I'm gonna find out before I go. It was my great grandma, but they're all passed away now. But I could find out from. I think my uncle was pretty well versed in like the family history. So
I'll send you a postcard next year.
Yeah.
yeah, no, I'll probably go next year.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
actually had 3 cruise stops in different parts of Croatia, but the national parks, there are 2 of them that are amazing. There's one called Plitvice, and it's like, it's crazy. It's like these walking trails that go on and on forever with waterfalls all over the place.
Really?
I mean, on the side, it's just stunning. We did one that's a smaller national park that had just beautiful boat. Like it was a boat ride for 20 minutes and swans everywhere, and the colors were stunning, and waterfalls all over the. It's crazy stuff.
Wow.
It's really a neat place.
That's cool.
People are super cool too. So.
That's what I heard. I heard the people are super
They're
nice.
excellent. They're really nice. In Italy, they suck. Italy,
Yeah.
everybody's
Oh,
an
yeah.
asshole.
I heard in
mean, it's
Croatia
like-
everyone's super nice.
Super
They're like,
cool.
you walk by their bar and restaurant, they're like, come in,
They're super
come
cool.
in. Like, yeah, I heard that.
My wife hates Italy.
Really?
Everyone's rude. It's just.
Yeah.
I mean, there's beautiful. You know, she doesn't like the food. She's like the food's not like it is here, like Italian food.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that.
She's like the Italian food here is better. It has more flavor because
I
everything
agree.
is like it's all bland, you know.
Yeah.
That's fake.
Well,
That's just
yeah.
real
it's
Italian.
like-
here, yeah.
Here it's fake, but it's
If
better.
Like, what Chinese food?
If you have a
Yeah,
chance
we're
to
in China,
go,
you're
if
like,
it's
what the hell
not
is
too far
this?
out of the way or whatever, it might be too much with young family, but that place in Slovenia was so beautiful. Oh my goodness.
Slovenia.
You're a Chinese person, orange chicken from Panda Express, you're like, what the hell is
That
this
was-
shit?
That was our highlight of the whole trip. That was like,
Yeah.
it's just, Slovenia's like 80% forested. It's Austrian influence. It's not so much Slavic. It's just beautiful and clean and it's just stunning. It's really amazing.
Well,
Hiking trails. It's like sort of like the perfect Switzerland or Austria in this
That's
little
cool.
country. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Very
We'll
cool.
see.
So it's a good trip overall?
Yeah.
15 days?
15 days.
And you're on a cruise?
Yeah.
See, I've never done a cruise. I've been thinking about like where I can go do a cruise, but I've never thought of something like that. I've always think like islands and stuff, but I've never thought of something like that. That might actually be on our list.
You gonna try to sign up for that Alaskan cruise? The one
Yeah.
for it's like 8 days or something like that.
Yeah.
and they're like, yeah, if you're pregnant, you can't come on the cruise like past like 20 weeks. You can't be like 27. I was like, I wonder if they could really tell, but I think they'll be able to tell.
Really?
So I don't know. I didn't see why, but
Probably protecting himself from lawsuits.
Yeah, a little liability or something. That's something.
There's a lot of crazy stuff that happens on cruise ships. I mean, there's some crazy stories from the last few months. Like somebody went overboard. Somebody tried to commit suicide. Went over. I think they earned it now.
They succeeded.
You know, there was a river cruise. One of the Viking, which is a good river cruise.
Oh, yeah.
In somewhere in Germany, slammed into just a regular small ferry. 11 people dead. I mean, crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
That's scary.
It's
Hey, Matt, how are you?
It happens.
Fine, man.
Yeah, yeah.
My hands are full.
How you doing, David? Nice to see you. Thanks.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Maybe we'll go on vacation.
They're all there.
Now
You should go. They're
now we
great.
gotta work
They're
harder to go on vacation.
I need a vacation. I need to like reset my mind. You
I've actually had a couple good vacations this year.
you
so
did a good one this year.
I can't complain.
Tulum.
I went to Tulum,
Oh,
which is really, really cool. I've never been to that side of Mexico, and it was.
The
pretty
colors are
amazing.
pretty, right?
Oh man, it's just like the whole feel, all the architecture, everything is like, it's like modern, but like primitive almost at the same time. It's like it's hard to explain, but it was really cool.
Right.
Really, really cool. I highly recommend it.
Good for you. Yeah.
Thanks again, David.
Always,
Yeah,
man.
thank you, for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Road here again.
Go ahead. In the bathroom, in the restroom. Over here. Bathroom, restroom. Get your-
Dude, the Astros are gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah, no,
They're gonna be tough to beat.
seen that.
But I will say Greggy's having a really bad year, but sometimes those guys, once they get a fresh start,
Yeah.
they like turn it on.
They can do too good. I mean, there was times we
Yeah.
did, but the thing too is that, well, I think we should have won against the Astros at World Series. Boston was like, I knew that wasn't gonna happen the way they were playing, but the Astros, they shouldn't have gone to Game 7.
No. That was a tough series. I don't want to think about it.
I know, right?
Hey, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you. You guys doing okay?
We're doing good, thank you.
Perfect.
David, would you happen to have any books on you? Any of your books? In the car, maybe? I got one from you a few months ago, and I gave it away. I passed it on, and I had read like half of it.
We talked about drinking.
If not the house. Okay, no, don't worry about it. Don't worry
actually,
about it. Next time you come, I'll let us know. Yeah, no problem. Oh yeah, they're gonna be there on Friday. I'll tell the people. Well, thank you again though.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Always a good learning experience. That's Mark's, right? That's not yours? The setup, the camera?
That's Mark's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure the TV, Kevin, make sure the TV turns on, please.
He left his phone.
Yeah.
How's he doing business?
Taking a nap.
I didn't turn his phone on.
Hey, Dodgers won.
It's over?
It's over, we won,
By what?
5-1. We won by 4.
After that beating they took 2 days ago.
Yeah, oh, it's great to see
Alright,
you.
sounds good.
Hope it was helpful, yeah.
Yes, definitely. Maybe eat lunch.
Hey, although it's Summer Rodriguez here, I go to Blue Palm Surgery in Whittier. I'm actually, I was talking to Patty, and she told me to give you a call, like to. I'm actually with the down board. One of the transfer to you guys. And she said you could help me out with that. I mean, I've been trying to do it for a couple weeks. I just keep putting it aside, but I mean, the sooner the better. I would say. I don't. I haven't. This is my first time reaching out to you guys. Okay. I believe so. Yeah, I was doing a monthly, but I think it's already over.
Is Cynthia here? Did you just get here? Did you just get here?
Okay. Yeah. It's Gustavo, 4 homes with number 4. Gmail.com. Correct. Patty keeps telling she's been telling me for like the past month. Hit up all your calls, He's like, you need to take care of me. Like, I gotta do it, but it's pretty good time. Yeah. Yeah, it's a DW. Going on about like a year and a half, maybe 2 years tops. Yes, for sure. Okay. Okay, and then if I have currently like anything like pending, how would that work? No, listing is no, it's just sales on the buyer side. Even like open escrows on the buyer side. Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure I still get credit for everything. Okay, okay. Okay, okay. So just put in whatever information here. Okay, with the new one, with the new PW. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, okay. Oh, okay, that's fine. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, but like everywhere else, it still stays the same. Like it's still gonna, I'm still gonna get credit for that, right? Okay, cool. Yeah, because I did notice that, like on, I don't know why, like I called the Downey board like when I moved offices, and like a lot of the stuff, like when I like print out stuff or like say just a lot of the stuff it's coming up still as my old office. Like I don't know if they never changed it, even though I sent in the forms and everything. I let them know. I was that? Keller Williams, not Mark, yeah, but it's still coming up as that, like in a lot of things it still says my old office. So that was another thing too, like I print out stuff. So like when I'm gonna go view like when I'm gonna go view properties or whatever, they'll still say Keller Williams in the old address. Even though I told them and I sent them the paperwork already. Yeah, for sure. Talking to Aldo right now.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Oh, tell him I said hello.
Patty says hello.
Hi, Aldo.
She said hi. No. How do I check that? Cause like I'm pretty sure they still have my old I'm pretty sure they still have my old yeah, let me see. I probably already said it.
God. He's on fire, this kid.
Where's my what was that? Where's my license number? It's I don't even know the number, but I don't think it's started. It's 020-33169. Yeah. Yeah, like 2 months. Or like a month and a half about more or less. No, not 2 months. Yeah, I noticed that because when I go to like TV properties, my buyers like print them out flyers and or stuff like that, and it'll still say forward Lamar, which is their LLC or whatever. Yeah. And I call them and they're like, oh, send this in, and I send it in, and then I never follow up with them either. I just kind of forget. And then once I print stuff, I see it, and I'm like, whatever. It's not like the clients are gonna look at that. You know, they just want to see the houses. But still, it's just like my OCD. Yeah, because my license got transferred. I mean, I bought it like a month and a half ago. 2021. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. should be pretty much the same thing, the login just with the PW instead of DW. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, that's probably why I did this one, because mine was, I think, DWRODRGU or something like that. So it's like, like some of my last name and it's just GU. Very cool. And then to sign it, well, I mean, how would I? Mhm. Both of them, send both of them. Signature. Oh, okay, I'm stupid. I'm over here looking. It's right at the top of the signature. Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to print it. I'll let him. This isn't what was in my paint. Oh, I could just type it. I mean, is that not? Just type it regular, huh? It's not nothing. It's super small. Yeah, it let me type it, it's just super small. It's not letting me make it bigger for some reason. Yeah, yeah, I'm just gonna print it. Oh my god, just print both of them. What am I at? There, fill out the other one. Okay, so print both of those and then just send them, email them back to you. Alright, for sure, I'll do that right now. And then I'll I gotta call you guys right now because now I'm just gonna keep forgetting. We're just talking about a new phone carrier for like the past year, I think. Cause I have Verizon and Verizon's been dropping out of calls and yeah, you don't like it? That's what I was thinking of getting them, but that's what I was. Okay. Oh shit. I'm I accidentally did two-sided. Yeah, I was thinking also to go to T-Mobile just for the same reason. It's a lot cheaper. I was telling my mom, like, I'm gonna get T-Mobile. She's like, why are you dealing with Verizon forever? I'm like, yeah, when I'm getting drop calls now, I'm like, might as well pay less and get drop calls. Shit. I'm getting drop calls regardless. Alright, cool. If anything, I'm gonna fill these out, and then I'll email them to you like in the next couple minutes for sure. I'm gonna give you a call back, or you just check in on my email, or. Alright, cool. Thanks a lot, man. Okay, and then on like the general information in the front, like where it says, or never mind, yeah, firm mattress and home address. You want my address too, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. Alright. Yeah, I'll get mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, so plain drum patty or just for the roti one? Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll get that over to you as soon as possible for sure. Alright, thanks, all. Alright,
Well, he says that Angel told him there was an open house today between 3 and 6. Is there an open house there?
How are you?
Good and yourself?
Good. Do you feel that you're kind of really, like our meeting?
Yeah.
Maybe not like our meeting, but like our team.
I do. Cause we meet up every Monday, so
Do you guys really?
every Monday we meet up and I don't mind.
don't want to meet.
They don't, this is our team.
Okay.
Oh, you're with all that time. Yeah, we meet
They're
up every
like, we don't
Monday.
have more time to meet.
Like they're on my ass because I've been saying I'm gonna get my business cards and
You have your business
I have my old ones, but I'm like this many of them. I just start throwing them everywhere.
I order 250 at a time.
Yeah. See, I got 1,000, and they messed up on the smallest little thing that you can't see, so they gave me another 1,000 for free. So, I mean, I'm not gonna pass out 2,000 cards ever probably. So.
Does it have your business? I mean, does it have like your number and stuff?
Yeah, it's just, I mean, yeah, same thing. It's just my old.
It just has your old logo. Well, this is maybe how you can like.
What I was thinking is just literally like.
Putting a sticker on it.
Nah, I'm gonna order new ones. I'm ordering new ones, but I was just like these. I mean, I have so many. I think I'm just gonna use stacks everywhere. Like, who cares? You know? Like, everywhere I go, just drop stack.
If somebody calls you.
Yeah, I mean, they're just sitting in my office anyway, so.
Yeah, you might as well. That'd be awesome.
blinds too. It's just how to put them blinds. Yeah, well, big side one, high one, down one.
Do you know how to do the blinds in there? Okay, so you have the remote, right? Okay, so go to the switches right along the front door. If you look right to the right, there's 3 light switches on the wall. You turn them all up, but no lights will turn on because they control the outlets, I think. So once those outlets are on, you know, see the switch I'm talking about? Okay, so turn those up, like you were turning on the light, and then with that white remote, push to the right so that number 2 lights up on top, and then push up. Oh, then. I didn't realize that's what, I mean, I knew you were going there, but I didn't think. And I told you about the alarm last time. Yes, I did. You both really.